Sometimes I wonder how much simpler my life would be if I could just head on down to the Clam with Quagmire, Joe, and Cleveland for some brews. I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same way considering how popular Family Guy's been over the years. While I can't offer you a portal to Quahog, I can offer you all sorts of facts about the Griffin family and all their neighbors and friends. Welcome back to ChannelFrederator. I'm Keegan, and boy, do I have a journey for you today. Enough Family Guy facts from the archive to make your head spin, not unlike a case of Pawtucket Patriot Ale. Our first video comes from the year 2015. A simpler time. A time for good old-fashioned values, if you will. Hosted by the legendary K-Sick Games, this is 107 Family Guy facts you need to know. Gabrielle Banks, are you still watching?
One of the most popular animated shows ever created. Yep, that's right, we are talking about Family Guy. My name is Kasich, and today here at ChannelFrederator, we are gonna be listing 107 Family Guy facts that you should know. Strap on, everybody, it's gonna be one bumpy road.
No, 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 no!
Number 1. Family Guy is one of the few shows to ever be revived after cancellation. In fact, it was canceled twice. At the end of the second season in the year 2000, Fox announced that it had been canceled. They quickly changed their minds in July of the same year and ordered a third season. Then in 2002, Fox announced again that it had been canceled. The popularity of reruns on Adult Swim and DVD sales had them bring it back. They ordered more episodes in May of 2004 that premiered a year later in May of 2005. The show has been running constantly ever since.
Gets easier when you get canceled.
Number 2. Stewie's full name is Stewie Gilligan Griffin. Number 3. It costs $2 million to make each episode of Family Guy. Number 4. Seth Green, the voice of Chris, has mentioned multiple times that Chris's voice is based on Buffalo Bill from the film Silence of the Lambs. Chris even did a parody of a famous scene in the film featuring that character. Number 5. The show is banned in Indonesia, Taiwan, Iran, Vietnam, Egypt, South Korea, South Africa, and Malaysia. I wonder who's gonna be next. Number 6. Peter and Brian are derived from the two lead characters of a short that Seth MacFarlane developed for Cartoon Network in 1997. The short was titled Larry and Steve and featured a man and a dog. Number 7. In 2009, Family Guy became the first animated show since the Flintstones to be nominated for an Emmy in the category of Outstanding Comedy Series.
All right, high five!
Number 8. Seth MacFarlane is a huge fan of the series All in the Family and paid homage to it through the opening of Family Guy.
Those good old-fashioned values on which we used to rely.
Number 9. Family Guy premiered on January 31st, 1999, following the Super Bowl. Another one of Seth MacFarlane's shows, American Dad, also premiered following a Super Bowl in 2005. Number 10. Bonnie Swanson was pregnant for 116 episodes.
Okay, first of all, Bonnie, you've been pregnant for like 6 years, all right? Either have the baby or don't.
She finally gave birth in Ocean's 3.5.
Push! Push! Get out of there! Get the hell out of my wife, you little bastard!
Number 11. Creator Seth MacFarlane was scheduled to be on American Airlines Flight 11 on September 11. He had a ticket but ran late due to a hangover, an incorrect departure time, missing boarding, and the flight by a mere 10 minutes. That is absolutely insane. Number 12. Seth MacFarlane originally wanted every episode of the show to somehow center around death.
Why are you?
No, wait.
Number 13. MacFarlane had also planned for each episode of Family Guy to have an ominous title borrowed from an old 1940s radio suspense drama that had no relation or relevance to the show. Number 14. Bender from Futurama and Coach John McGurk from Home Movies all made cameo appearances in the episode It's a Trap. I bet that makes you want to go watch it again, huh? You're welcome. Number 15. In 2009, High Times named Brian Griffin as their Stoner of the Year. Number 16. The main cast of Family Guy each makes somewhere between $170,000 to $225,000 an episode. Number 17. The Parents Television Council has named Family Guy the worst TV show of the week over 40 times. Number 18. According to his license in the episode Foxy Lady, Stewie, Quagmire was born in 1948.
Giggity, giggity, giggity.
That'll make him 67 this year. Quagmire, you look great for your age.
What's your secret?
Carrots. Sometimes I grind them up into juice or just eat them raw or insert them anally.
Number 19, the massive chicken that constantly tussles with Peter is named Ernie. Number 20, Peter has changed Meg's full name from Megan to Megatron on her birth certificate. Number 21, in almost every episode, one character says, "What the hell?" to another.
Peter, what the hell's the matter with you?
Number 22, the creators have license in picking when other characters can understand what Stewie is saying. Number 23, William H. Macy auditioned for the voice of Brian. Number 24, Quagmire was imagined as an anachronistic 50s guy. His voice is based on radio announcers of that time.
And then the witch doctor, he told me what to do. He said that...
Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang.
Number 25, Neil Goldman is named after one of the writers of the show. Number 26, Peter was based on a security guard at Seth MacFarlane's college, Rhode Island School of Design. Number 27, it takes a full year to complete an episode of Family Guy. For those of you who are confused in the comments, multiple episodes are worked on simultaneously. Hope that clears it up, guys. Number 28, there are two versions of almost every episode. The versions aired on TV and the untouched versions found on the show's DVDs. Number 29, Seth MacFarlane was only 24 when Family Guy first aired. This made him the youngest executive producer in all of network television. You go, Seth! Number 30, Peter's boss, Angela, is actually voiced by Carrie Fisher. Number 31, Adam West, who appears in Family Guy as the mayor of Quahog, loves the show, and he definitely gets the love returned in full. MacFarlane has said that Adam is the single most demanded character in Quahog. Number 32, the Family Guy franchise is worth $2 billion. Money, 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 money!
Give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money.
Number 33, Seth MacFarlane has been accused of stealing Stewie from cartoonist Chris Ware. Chris has a series titled Jimmy Corrigan, the Smartest Kid on Earth. The main character, Jimmy Corrigan, bears a striking resemblance to Stewie in both physical appearance and certain personality traits. Number 34, Patrick Warburton is the voice of Joe Swanson.
Right on! Let's do it!
Number 35, Meg has had 3 different voice actresses, and in contrast to Meg's unpopularity, the ladies who have played her are all very lovely. In the pilot of the show, Meg was voiced by Seth MacFarlane's sister, Rachel MacFarlane. She was then voiced by Lacey Chabert, who you may recognize from Mean Girls for a few episodes before Mila Kunis took over.
That is so fetch.
Number 36, Family Guy has found beef with both South Park and The Simpsons. South Park released a 2-part episode titled Cartoon Wars that mocked Family Guy and even coined the term manatee jokes in relation to Family Guy's gags. The Simpsons had a Peter Griffin cameo where the character was seen on a wanted poster with the charge of plagiarismo. Family Guy fired back with a scene that showed Quagmire hooking up with Marge Simpson before being discovered by Homer Simpson and then being forced to kill the whole family. At one point, Fox finally stepped in to tell The Simpsons and Family Guy to stop ribbing one another. Eventually, the two shows made up and even had an official crossover episode. Number 37. At one point, Seth MacFarlane pitched the concept of Family Guy as a series of shorts for Mad TV. Number 38. Pawtucket Patriot Ale is Peter's preferred drink. Number 39. There are numerous references to the Jetsons and the Flintstones on the show. Number 40. Brian has a tattoo of the famous comic strip character Ziggy. Number 41. A bumper sticker on Brian's car shows that he supported Dennis Kucinich in a presidential race. Number 42. Before Family Guy was a thing, creator Seth MacFarlane worked at Hanna-Barbera. Number 43. In 2007, the creators of Family Guy were sued 3 times. Sounds like it was a pretty busy year for their legal team. Number 44. Lois was originally going to be blonde. It's actually the reason that Chris is the only blonde Griffin. He was supposed to have the same hair color as his mom to balance out Meg having Peter's hair color. Number 45. Seth MacFarlane's favorite Family Guy moment is in the episode Da Boom, when Lois brings up how much food they've wasted and it cuts to Peter attempting to feed Tom Selleck beans through the TV screen.
Come on, hey, None for you, Higgins. You've had yours.
Number 46. Seth MacFarlane's favorite Family Guy episode is Road to the Multiverse. Number 47. Seth MacFarlane's least favorite episode is Forefather. Number 48. If you pay attention, you'll notice that Quagmire is left-handed. Number 49. Fox's pilot episode of Family Guy, Death Has a Shadow, pulled in 22.1 million viewers on its first broadcast. Number 50. Family Guy is rooted in Rhode Island, which is where Seth MacFarlane went to school. Number 51.
I declare this land Quahog.
Quahog was chosen as the name of the town in which Family Guy takes place because it was a generic but locally inflicted word. The show producer, Danny Smith, wanted to avoid any conflicts or controversy. Quahog is another term for hard clams, which are commonly found in Rhode Island. Number 52. Seth MacFarlane has confirmed, in a Playboy magazine no less, that Stewie is gay.
I know the guy that owns this place. What?
Number 53. Stewie's voice is based on movie star Rex Harrison.
Speaking for myself, I am a theater actor primarily.
Number 54. In the episode Love Thy Trophy, Stewie spells out red rum with building blocks, which is a nod to the classic horror film The Shining.
Here's Johnny.
It's murder backwards. Number 55. In the episode Road to Germany, there is a clever reference to the pop song 99 Red Balloons. A Nazi scientist is telling Stewie about their 100 Luftballons when one of them pops.
Oh, damn.
Number 56. For the show's 100th episode special, Seth MacFarlane interviewed people who hated the show. They had no idea they were complaining to the creator himself. Oh, Seth. Number 57. Seth MacFarlane killed off Brian to impart this message to his viewers. Never take those you love for granted, for they can be gone in a flash. Number 58. The episode Extra Large Medium caused a large amount of controversy due to its portrayal of Down syndrome. Number 59. In the episode Screwed the Pooch, Peter declares that if he were half the father that Brian was, he would know more about his kids, including who Meg's real father was. Brian answers Stan Thompson. Of course, Meg misses this whole conversation. Number 60. Seth MacFarlane has said that the reason Meg is so mistreated is because of a bunch of male writers not knowing how to write for a teenage girl. Number 61. According to his birth records, Peter Griffin was born as Justin Peter Griffin. He discovers this when trying to open a checking account. Number 62. Lois is very unhappy when Peter shakes Stewie in The Giggity Wife. This makes sense when you consider the fact that Peter has shaken one of their other children to death. Number 63. Every fan of Family Guy knows about the fights between Peter and Ernie the Giant Chicken, but not every fan knows why they're fighting in the first place. Are you ready for this, guys? Ernie gave Peter an expired coupon. The nerve. Number 64. There was a great outcry against the show when it depicted a John F. Kennedy Pez dispenser getting its head shot off, a gag mocking the president's real-life assassination. Number 65. Peter's middle name is Leuvenbrout. This is revealed when he meets his real father Mickey in Ireland. Makes sense, the Irish love their beer. Number 66. In the pilot episode of Family Guy, the viewer learns that Peter had his first fart at the age of 30. Number 67. In the episode If I'm Dying, I'm Lying, Peter wishes to bring back a show called Gumble to Gumble. One can imagine that this is a dig from Seth MacFarlane to Fox because Gumble to Gumble is the first show he pitched to the network. Number 68. In the episode North by North Quahog, if you pay attention to the Passion of the Christ 2 preview, Jesus has a license plate with the letters WWID on it. It's a play on the popular phrase, what would Jesus do? The letters stand for what would I do? Number 69. In the episode Model Misbehavior, the Griffins make the newspaper when they win a boat race. In the bottom corner of the paper, you can read, DVDs paused for headline joke, millions disappointed. Number 70. When Mayor Adam West says, I'm the only Mayor West that's in trouble, in the episode You May Now Kiss the, Guy Who Receives, it's a reference to former Mayor Jim West from Spokane. He was a strong opponent of gay marriage whose career ended over a gay sex scandal. Number 71. 71. In the episode The Story on Page 1, you can read, "If you can read this, Family Guy is on the air," in the corner of the TV guide that's briefly shown. Number 72. In the episode Meet the Quagmires, Peter and Brian disrupt history and Roger from American Dad makes an appearance.
Who ate all the pecan sandies?
Number 73. Seth Green was the only person auditioning for the role of Chris who didn't use a surfer dude voice.
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
Number 74. Mayor Adam West mentions at one point that he has tussled with super beings before, which is a nod to his roles as Batman in the 60s.
You mean...
Precisely, Robin.
Number 75. During the Writers Guild of America strike that occurred from 2007 to 2008, Seth MacFarlane joined in and did not finish any episodes. Fox went ahead and aired 3 episodes when they were only 90% complete without his permission. MacFarlane has since declared this a colossal dick move. Number 76. According to its DVD commentary track, Stewie Griffin, The Untold Story, was originally going to be called Queer as Stewie. It was going to focus on Stewie coming to terms with being homosexual. The idea was scrapped as Stewie's ambiguous sexuality was more mileage for episodes. Number 77. Chris was originally going to be as fat as Peter, but animators decided it would be too depressing. Number 78. For the timer portion of the episode, Petarded, show creators wanted the original voice of Timer, Lenny Weinrib, to reprise his role.
You are what you eat, from your head down to your feet.
They were turned down as his agent said he was just too old. Seth MacFarlane did the voice instead. Number 79. Bree Summer was in consideration to voice Meg, but Seth MacFarlane felt uncomfortable having an African American woman play a white character. Number 80. Seth MacFarlane voices Peter, Brian, Stewie,
Hey,
Quagmire,
giggity giggity.
Carter,
Tony Danza from Who's the Boss says, Ayo, Ayo.
Tom Tucker,
Finish your oatmeal, son.
Jake Tucker,
My father.
Seamus,
You want to go out? No? Okay.
and Dr. Hartman.
Kim Bassinger?
Number 81. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph was held off from airing for a week in the wake of the Sandy Hook Elementary shooting. Number 82. The night of the Hurricane programming block that included Family Guy, American Dad, and The Cleveland Show was delayed from its original slot due to a severe weather outbreak that occurred. Number 83. Seth MacFarlane's short, The Life of Larry, had a lot of gags that would be recycled in Family Guy, including Peter getting fired, putting the family on welfare, and becoming rich due to a clerical error on his first welfare check. Number 84. Kevin was originally voiced by John Cryer, then by Seth MacFarlane, and then by Scott Grimes. Number 85. Mere minutes after Brian died, some fans were already calling that he would be brought back. When the summary for the Christmas episode that year was released, they speculated that he would be coming back that episode. Even more though, fans correctly predicted how it would happen. Number 86. The show has some fantastic celebrity guest stars, including Drew Barrymore, Robert Downey Jr., Patrick Stewart, and Mae Whitman. Number 87. Almost all the animation for Family Guy is outsourced, but in Road to the Multiverse, the Disney segment was animated in-house.
It's a wonderful day for pie.
Number 88. Meg is the only human member of the Griffin family whose middle name has not been revealed. Number 89. When Peter tries to brand Meg, it's revealed that she already has an AW branded on her by Mayor Adam West. Number 90. Meg cannot taste salt. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe you lived all your life without knowing that fact. Number 91. Due to a rare birth disorder, Meg's heart is located in the same place as her brain. There's a joke somewhere there, I just can't think of it. Number 92. Lois was selected to be on the Olympic diving team, but ended up pregnant with Meg. She later becomes pro-choice. Poor Meg. Number 93. Lois hates the sound of squeaking plastic wrap. Number 94. Lois has possibly had 8 children. There's Meg, Chris, and Stewie. But there's also Peter Griffin Jr., Dave Griffin, Stewie's funny brother, other brother from the theater, and other sister who may have been killed by Meg. Number 95. Peter is a Star Wars fan. He collects Star Wars collector glasses and Star Wars trading cards. Number 96. Peter can play the piano perfectly when he's drunk. Number 97. In the episode Friends Without Benefits, Peter's Twitter username is Pumpkin Eater 69.
Social media is bringing us all closer together.
Number 98, Peter was born in Mexico. Number 99, Peter has an iPhone, which is important because if you have an iPhone, that means, you and Peter have something in common. Number 100, in one episode, Peter's ringtone is the theme song of The Cleveland Show. Number 101, Chris's full name is Christopher Cross Griffin, which is a homage to the singer-songwriter Christopher Cross. Number 102, Chris has the same birthday as his voice actor Seth Green, February 8th. Number 103, Chris and Stewie are the only members of the Griffin family who have yet to be put in jail. Number 104, Brian is Seth MacFarlane's favorite character.
Obviously, voices in my head are a legitimate psychological problem for me.
Number 105, Brian voted for John McCain. Number 106, Brian drives a 2004 Prius. And number 107, Brian is the only character who Seth voices using his natural speaking voice.
Oh, you're doing the voices, you draggle-tailed goddess.
Holy smokes, that video racked up over 12 million views back in 2015. Success worthy of a sequel. Just over a year later, ChannelFrederator released 107 Family Guy Facts Everyone Should Know Part 2, and everyone learned a lot, of course. Hosted by Frederator icon Dylan Landon, I'd say that this was a pretty strong sophomore effort.
Sometimes a sitcom family just about captures our hearts and imaginations. And sometimes that sitcom family may have a talking dog, a super sassy infant, and spout an endless slew of pop culture nudges. Whether you followed the show through both cancellations or just wondered how a show could be revived twice, we know that 107 piddly little facts just isn't enough for the beloved Griffins. What's up, guys? I'm Dylan from Mic Drop, and today ChannelFrederator is counting down 107 more Family Guy facts you should know. For instance, did you know that Stewie was superimposed over Jerry the Mouse, like Tom and Jerry, so that he could dance with Gene Kelly? That and more coming your way right now. So, let's get started. Number 1. The pilot for Family Guy was made on a budget of $50,000. Seth MacFarlane worked on it non-stop for 6 months, doing the vast majority of the animation at his home. Number 2. $50,000 may seem like a lot at first glance, but this budget was much smaller than the normal $1 million budget for pilots. Since he was fresh out of college, MacFarlane didn't know this at the time. Number 3. When MacFarlane started on the show, Fox gave him an unprecedented 3-year contract, paying over $2 million a year. According to MacFarlane, this contract made his credit score go up overnight. Before working on Family Guy, he couldn't even get a credit card. Number 4. Brian and Peter aren't the only characters with conceptual counterparts in MacFarlane's Larry and Steve short. A character prototype of Quagmire is seen in an airline pilot, who sounds exactly like Quagmire and even has a similarly shaped chin. It's probably also worth noting that Quagmire ended up as an airline pilot in Family Guy. Number 5. Quagmire's iconic catchphrase, "Giggity," was inspired by writer Steve Marmel's impression of comedian Jerry Lewis. Number 6. Lois' name is derived from MacFarlane's student film, The Life of Larry, in which the wife of the title character is named, surprise, Lois. Larry's Lois even has a similar heavy accent. Number 7. When recording dialogue when he's playing more than one character in a single scene, MacFarlane will record the voice for one character and leave pauses for the others. Then he'll record a different character and play off the recording he had just made. Number 8. Many of the characters on the show were designed around the voices and personalities that were developed for them, particularly the characters played by Seth MacFarlane. After creating Stewie's voice, Seth felt that Stewie sounded like somebody that would have an abnormally shaped head, and experimented with many different shapes before deciding on the football shape we all know today. Number 9. During the show's pilot pitch, Quahog's news anchor was originally known as Mike Tucker, instead of good old Tom Tucker. He was also on Channel 6 News, as opposed to the main series Quahog 5 News. Number 10. All of the voices he's done on the show, MacFarlane claims that Tom Tucker is the easiest. This is especially odd when you consider the fact that Brian's voice is just MacFarlane's normal speaking voice. Number 11. Tom Tucker was based on the recurring spokesman who appeared on various cigarette commercials throughout the 1940s. MacFarlane admits that, in his mind, this makes Tom a bit of a dated character. Number 12. Stewie and Peter are the two hardest voices for MacFarlane to do, and Stewie's actually the more difficult of the two. Scenes containing both characters usually leave MacFarlane red in the face after recording. So basically, red has become his natural face color. Number 13. To prepare and perfect Stewie's accent, McFarlane repeatedly watched and closely studied the 1964 film My Fair Lady, because nothing screams Stewie like supposed female appropriation. Number 14. McFarlane says he sees the Stewie character as a character similar to Professor Moriarty, Sherlock Holmes' arch nemesis, except Stewie's certainly up against no Sherlock. Number 15. McFarlane initially provided a majority of the voices for Family Guy because the show didn't have the budget to accommodate the many actors. Nowadays, McFarlane continues to voice everyone because he finds it much easier just to do everything himself. I guess if you want to do something right. Number 16. Despite McFarlane's omnipresence, Lois Griffin is played by actress Alex Borstein, who also served as the show's sole female staff writer during its first few seasons on the air. Number 17. On top of voicing Lois, Alex Borstein is also responsible for voicing about 75% of Family Guy's female cast, effectively making her the female Seth MacFarlane. Or is Seth a male Alex Borstein? Number 18. McFarlane got a hold of Borstein through a producer who was working at Mad TV, where Borstein was a regular cast member. The producer simply asked Borstein if she would be interested in voicing the wife of an animated sitcom pilot pitch. Thus, an excellent career choice was made. Number 19. Borstein claims her experience on Mad TV helped her performances as Lois on Family Guy. It taught her to effectively pitch and develop her own ideas and developments for the characters she plays. The fact that many of her sketches on Mad TV were often rejected also taught her to deal with the ideas and jokes getting rejected, and gave her the confidence and wit to pitch more jokes. Number 20. Alex based Lois' voice off her Hungarian cousin who lives in Long Island, New York. She describes her cousin's voice as something akin to a dying cat. How harsh. Number 21. In a sad twist, Borstein finds her own voice annoying, even when she's not amplifying the annoying factor while voicing Lois. Number 22. Borstein said that the pitches in her and McFarlane's voices for Peter and Lois have been getting higher as the series have gone on. She has no idea why. Number 23. Of all the dirty things that Lois Griffin has said over the years, Borstein's favorite line was, "He's knocking on the back door. Should I let him in?" Number 24. If there's one man on the staff that can rival the number of McFarlane's recurring characters, it's writer-producer Mike Henry. Henry is responsible for characters like Cleveland Brown, Herbert the Pervert, Consuela, and Bruce. Number 25. Cleveland's voice was based on a man Henry once played basketball with. The basketball player had a very relaxed tone of voice and tenderness to pronounce words in a way that resonated with Henry. For example, he pronounced Maryland as Maryland. Number 26. Herbert was based on an elderly man Henry knew when he was working at a grocery store during his high school years, proving that sometimes those horrible menial jobs can actually come in handy. Herbert's voice also owes something to Frank Perdue of Perdue Chicken commercials, which predominantly aired on the East Coast of the United States. Number 27. For his audition for Chris, Seth Green did an impression of Buffalo Bill. But why Buffalo Bill? Turns out, Green's friend made a bet with him that forced Green to do a Buffalo Bill impression at his next audition. Oddly enough, it landed Green the job. Number 28. There's a recurring joke on Family Guy revolving around Peter mocking Chris's adoration for Adult Swim's stop-motion sketch comedy Robot Chicken. This pokes fun at the fact that Seth Green is the co-creator of Robot Chicken. Fret not, Robot Chicken fans, for it's all in good fun. In real life, there's no competitive edge between the two Seths, as they both love each other's work. Seth MacFarlane is even a recurring guest voice actor on Robot Chicken. Number 29. In North by North Quahog, Peter lists various TV shows that were canceled by Fox. When he says Greg the Bunny, he quickly glances at Chris, because Seth Green played Greg the Bunny's roommate, Jimmy Bender. Number 30. Put your tinfoil hats away. Lacey Chabert wasn't booted off the show due to some dramatic behind-the-scenes scandal. She was simply not under contract to appear for the entirety of the series. Chabert decided to leave because she had already had her hands full with school and her other show, Party of Five. Number 31. Mila Kunis was only 15 years old when she first auditioned for the role of Meg. She ultimately got the role because she was one of the few actresses not to ham up her performance with a cartoony voice. Number 32. Meg Griffin was the first animated character Mila Kunis had ever played, so acting using only her voice proved to be quite a challenge when she first started on the show. Number 33. In the episode Back to the Pilot, where Stewie and Brian travel back to Family Guy's pilot episode, Mila Kunis did not re-record Meg's lines from the first episode. The original lines, recorded by Lacey Chabert, are used. Stewie even makes a comment about how Meg sounds like someone about to give up a huge opportunity. Chabert is listed as Meg's actress in the episode's credits. Number 34. Since there aren't that many episodes that heavily utilize this character, it usually takes Patrick Warburton 10 minutes to record Joe Swanson's dialogue for about 4 episodes. Number 35. Bonnie Swanson is played by actress Jennifer Tilly, and her resume has gone much darker than the humor of Family Guy. She's also known for playing Chucky the Killer's doll, on-again, off-again love interest, Tiffany. Number 36. Not only does McFarlane sing in the theme song for Family Guy, but he also wrote it himself. Writing, directing, voice acting, and now songwriting. Is there anything this guy can do? Number 37. Family Guy almost didn't have a theme song. Fox thought television had reached the point where viewers found them repetitive and tedious, but McFarlane fought tooth and nail to make sure the theme song tradition was kept alive. He felt that theme songs are like a drum roll. They get the audience excited for the Griffin's super dysfunctional adventures. Number 38. Quahog is modeled after Cranston, Rhode Island. We now expect an unprecedented spike in tourism for Cranston. Or not. Number 39. The Griffins owe a lot to the real-life McFarlanes. Seth MacFarlane says that he inherited his sixth sense of dark humor from his family. For the entirety of his life, they showered him with unfiltered humor, making jokes that simply could not be told outside their home. Number 40. McFarlane states that his experience writing 7-minute episodes for Johnny Bravo helped him develop the quick and efficient pace of the stories and jokes found in Family Guy, especially the show's signature cutaway gags. Number 41. Believe it or not, the Family Guy writing staff has limits, or at least they try to limit themselves. There is a whiteboard in the Family Guy office detailing topics they shouldn't joke about, or if they do, shouldn't joke all too often about. Number 42. Despite the fact that the show's humor appears to be strictly fueled by pop culture references, McFarlane is largely oblivious to pop culture. He claims that its show's 17 or so writers are so well immersed that they educate him on the basis of Family Guy's many references. Those manatees are certainly on the ball with our cultural trends. Number 43. The corners of pop culture McFarlane is familiar with are classic musical theater and 80s cartoons. Number 44. Of all the episodes that have been produced throughout Family Guy's 17 years on the air, Seth MacFarlane has only written 3 episodes: Death Has a Shadow, Family Guy Viewer Mail number 1, and North by North Quahog. Number 45. When the staff was working on Death Has a Shadow, a Fox executive demanded that the writers remove the scene in the courthouse where the Kool-Aid Man burst through the wall, but not over legalities. He thought that that moment ruined the tension and drama of the scene and that it would tonally flow better without it. Little did this exec know, Family Guy is actually a comedy. Number 46. When the writers wrote a joke that involved the term Dirty Sanchez, the censors put their foot down. So the writers wound up creating their own variant, Muddy Ramirez. Surprisingly, this actually worked and the joke was allowed to air. Number 47. The jokes that are most commonly cut by standards and practices are the ones that target religion, whether it be Christianity or Judaism, but killing babies? That's a-okay. Kill away. Number 48. Family Guy was the first show to be revived thanks to high DVD sales. The first Family Guy DVD volume sold over 1.6 million copies in 2003, making it the top-selling DVD of the year. The second volume also sold 1 million copies. Number 49. During drawn-out negotiations with Fox in 2006 to get Family Guy back on the air, Seth MacFarlane considered going to another network, but wasn't willing to give up Family Guy. Number 50. Leaving Fox would have been tricky anyway. When asked if the network even considered letting MacFarlane go, Chairman Gary Newman joked that he would rather lose a limb. Number 51. In 2008, Seth MacFarlane became the top-earning writer in television. His contract at the time covered Family Guy, American Dad, and The Cleveland Show. A far cry from that $50,000 pilot. Hold on, hold the phone, time out. Quick break from this video. Here's what's going on. What's up, guys? I'm Dylan Landon, and we're gonna pause this Family Guy video real quick just to let you know about a new music channel that I'm hosting. It's called Mic Drop. If you love 107 Facts, you'll love this channel because we'll have 107 facts about your favorite musicians and more. So, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and go check out some videos at Mic Drop. See you over there. There's a new one about Michael Jackson. Ooh. Okay, now back to Family Guy. Number 52. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson served as scientific consultant for the episode The Big Bang Theory. But this wasn't the first time that MacFarlane and Dr. Tyson worked together. MacFarlane produced the TV documentary miniseries Cosmos, A Space-Time Odyssey, which of course starred Dr. Tyson and was amazing. Number 53. According to Seth MacFarlane, the Meg of Cosmos is the tardigrade microorganism because you can throw any kind of shit at them and they'll survive. Number 54. Neil deGrasse Tyson's relationship with Family Guy didn't end there. He ended up appearing on the show outright, voicing himself in the 2016 episode Scammed Yankees. Number 55. If Seth MacFarlane could bring back and work on any show he wanted, it would be All in the Family, as he loves so much that the opening to Family Guy pays homage to it. Number 56. But like so many of us, The Simpsons ended up having a profound effect on McFarlane, who says that seeing The Simpsons completely changed the direction of his career. He went from wanting to work with Disney to wanting to make adult cartoons. Number 57. One of The Simpsons' biggest influences on Family Guy was the series' timing style, which McFarlane says was a direct nod to The Simpsons. Number 58. And Matt Groening has paid attention. His first reaction to Family Guy was that the show was competition and was wilder, harsher, and nastier. Number 59. When Groening's son Abe was 14, he came home telling his dad how much his classmates loved Family Guy. He then jokingly said that he wished McFarlane was his dad. Ooh, that probably cut deep. Number 60. Despite the bad blood that the crew of Family Guy and The Simpsons have had in the past, McFarlane and Groening have never felt the same way. In fact, McFarlane has nothing but the utmost respect for The Simpsons writing staff. Groening has gone on record saying that he relates to McFarlane more so than anybody else he has ever worked with, and that he's happy that a show like Family Guy coexists with The Simpsons because it effectively expands the popularity and demand for adult animation. Now, if only the internet comments sections shared the same mentality. Number 61. The Family Guy Simpsons conversation didn't stop at the writers. Dan Castellaneta, the voice of Homer, and Hank Azaria, the voice of Moe, Apu, and so many others, have done cameos on Family Guy. Number 62. McFarlane has returned the favor and made a cameo on The Simpsons as Ben in the episode Dangers on a Train. Number 63. And of course, there was a full-blown Family Guy Simpsons crossover. The endeavor was spearheaded by Rich Appel, who wrote The Simpsons, ran King of the Hill, and co-ran Family Guy. Number 64. Both Groening and McFarlane want to do crossovers with King of the Hill. Hank Hill has actually made several cameos on an episode of Family Guy. Number 65. Matt Groening said that if he could import any Family Guy character into The Simpsons, it would be Stewie, with the chicken coming close behind. Number 66. On the flip side, if Seth MacFarlane could bring in a Simpsons character to his show, he'd choose Mr. Burns, with Leonard Nimoy coming up second. Wait, does Leonard Nimoy count? Number 67. There were a lot of rejected plot ideas for the Simpsons Family Guy crossover. One involved Chris having 2 dates for the big dance, and the Simpsons just kind of showed up. Another vague rejected idea was to center around the very different babies of the series, Maggie and Stewie. Or the Griffins could go to Springfield, meet Lenny and Carl, spend the week, and just leave without meeting any other characters. Number 68. Let's just spread this out over 2 facts, shall we? Another idea was to have a big reveal that all of Family Guy has taken place inside a snow globe in Ralph Wiggum's room, a nod to the infamous ending of the soap opera St. Elsewhere. There was even a pitch that was described as another Mr. Plow episode, but with Quagmire and Brazilian chicks. Number 69. There were no plans to do another crossover, but Appel jokingly said, by season 43 of The Simpsons and season 27 of Family Guy, someone who's looking at a blank board is going to say, well, the Griffins went to Springfield, what if the Simpsons went to Quahog? And more heads will explode at Fox. Number 70. Permission was given to do the crossover on the condition that the Family Guy team do The Simpsons proud. Please don't kill Marge, and let us read the script. Number 71. The lighting on the eyes of the Griffins had to be toned down so they didn't stand out too much in the world of The Simpsons. Or maybe another rejected plotline was that the Griffins appear in Springfield as creepy, super wide-eyed aliens. Number 72. McFarlane said that one of the keys to a good crossover is having people with experience on both shows. He said there needs to be someone who can say, no, I wrote for this show, that's not something Homer would say. Number 73. Most Family Guy live-action gags are shot on the set of Fox's live-action comedy Bones by the Bones team. McFarlane describes the 2 shows' relationships as neighborly. Number 74. Family Guy returned the favor by allowing Stewie to make an animated cameo on Bones for a gag between the evil baby genius and Booth. Though Stewie's dialogue sounds like something ripped right from the show, it was actually written by the Bones writing staff. McFarlane commended them for knowing his show well enough to be able to write so authentically for Stewie without his input. Number 75. When the Cleveland show was canceled, Cleveland and his new family made their way back to Quahog to coexist with the Griffins. Starting with the episode, He's Black. The writers didn't even try to come up with a legitimate reason as to why this happened. The Family Guy characters are just aware that Cleveland's show was canceled and constantly reminded him of his failure. Number 76. The show's season 11 episode, Big Fat, contains a different yet similar intro sequence. That's because it's a parody of the opening to Mike Judge's second animated show, King of the Hill, another animated show on Fox we all know. Number 77. In Road to Rupert, Stewie is seen dancing over live-action footage with Hollywood legend Gene Kelly. The footage is from the 1945 film Anchors Aweigh. Stewie's animations were simply placed over the scene's original animated character, Jerry the Mouse. Interestingly enough, the reflection of Stewie's legs is actually still Jerry's reflection. Number 78. The gag with the chicken fighting Peter was the first time the Family Guy team experimented with gags that went on for a long time. According to McFarlane, it took 3 or 4 writers to come up with it. Number 79. Quahog's local French restaurant, Le Especial d'Andouille, literally translates to the species of andouille, which is like a sausage, but it's commonly used to call someone an imbecile. Number 80. Fox banned the episode Partial Terms of Endearment due to the episode's controversial subject matter, which involves Lois volunteering to become the surrogate mother of her college friend's child due to her inability to have a baby. When her friend unexpectedly dies, Lois must decide to either abort the baby or keep it as her own. Unlike other episodes Fox has banned in the past, such as When You Wish Upon a Weinstein, not even Adult Swim would air it. However, this has not stopped it from being released on DVD or even from being broadcast internationally, albeit edited down for those broadcasts. Number 81. The idea to create the first Star Wars special, Blue Harvest, was born out of concern from Fox's legal team that Family Guy was using too many Star Wars jokes. They feared that sooner or later they would get sued by Lucasfilm, so they called the legendary production company to get clearance before it was too late. In an unexpected twist, Lucasfilm was perfectly fine with Family Guy spoofing Star Wars, so long as the Family Guy characters looked like the characters in the Star Wars films. Thus, the idea of Peter, Lois, Stewie, and company playing parts from the Star Wars films was born. Number 82. There's a simple reason Lucasfilm allowed Family Guy to constantly spoof Star Wars. Turns out, Lucas is a huge fan of the show. Number 83. The title character of the first Family Guy Star Wars special, Blue Harvest, was the fake on-set title used for the production of the third Star Wars film, Return of the Jedi, in order to avoid media attention. Number 84. The Family Guy Star Wars episodes aren't the only Star Wars specials McFarlane has participated in. He's lent his voice to all 3 Star Wars specials of Robot Chicken, co-created by Chris's voice actor Seth Green. McFarlane's most prominent role in the Robot Chicken specials was Emperor Palpatine, whose voice sounds awfully similar to Stewie's in the spoof, not in real Star Wars, because, well, yeah, you know. Number 85. The production of Blue Harvest was happening at the exact same time as the production of Robot Chicken's first Star Wars special. Seth Green and Seth MacFarlane would often converse during production to make sure they weren't making the same jokes or stepping on each other's toes. Number 86. Just before it aired on TV, the crew was invited to a screening of Blue Harvest at Skywalker Ranch, where George Lucas himself and his son would be in attendance. McFarlane thought he wouldn't allow for the episode to air, but Lucasfilm once again twisted his expectations, and Lucas gave this special his seal of approval, and he even laughed a few times. Number 87. The title of the second Star Wars special, Something Something Darkside, is a reference to a Family Guy cutaway gag from the episode Barely Legal, in which Emperor Palpatine discovers the formula for creating perfect Star Wars dialogue. Number 88. Something Something Darkside's director, Dominic Pulsino, is a Star Wars purist. He claims Something Something Darkside is a satirical recreation of the original cut of The Empire Strikes Back and not the 1997 remaster. In fact, he forbade any of the staff working on the special from watching the remaster to keep their collective vision true to the 1983 original. Number 89. While Lucasfilm was okay with the humor of Blue Harvest, it was a bit of a battle for Family Guy to get the studio's approval for Something Something Darkside, where the humor was considerably more, well, dark. Lucasfilm was specifically concerned with Chris cursing at Peter at the very end of the special, and Herbert as Obi-Wan telling Chris as Luke Skywalker to take off his pants while on Hoth. Number 90. Before Mort Goldman was cast in the role of Lando Calrissian for the Star Wars episode, the writers wrote a draft with Ollie Williams, the weatherman. They then placed Magic Johnson in the role before giving it to Mort. Number 91. If McFarlane were able to give other movies the Family Guy treatment, he'd choose Raiders of the Lost Ark and Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. But isn't doing a Star Trek spoof kind of like cheating on Star Wars? Number 92. The third and final Family Guy Star Wars special, It's a Trap, is named after a famous line from Return of the Jedi, spouted by Admiral Akbar. The line had gained a lot of traction in pop culture long before the special's release, especially considering it's one of the biggest memes on the internet. Number 93. If you look closely at Family Guy's iteration of Boba Fett's ship, its wings are chicken wings, a subtle detail representing the character playing Boba Fett, Ernie the Giant Chicken. Number 94. Mark Hamill reprised his role as Luke Skywalker for a cutaway gag in the episode When You Wish Upon a Weinstein. He also played the role of Luke's mentor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, portrayed in the films by the late Alec Guinness. Literally, the student has become the teacher. Number Number 95. For the main cast mandatory table read, McFarlane will often fill in for celebrity guests with the impressions of their voices. Oftentimes, these celebrities' impressions are even funnier than the guest's real voice, and sometimes replace the guest star outright. Number 96. Drew Barrymore is an admitted fan of Family Guy and actually requested to appear on Family Guy herself, which made her one of the more easily obtainable guest stars on the show. She appeared as Chris's teacher, Mrs. Lockhart, and later as Jillian. Number 97. Lois's brother, Patrick Peterschmidt, is played by none other than Iron Man himself, Robert Downey Jr. It is the only role in an animated TV show the actor has done throughout his career thus far. Number 98. In Extra Large Medium, Chris dates a girl with Down syndrome named Ellen. Ellen is played by actress Andrea Faye Friedman, who also has Down syndrome. Number 99. Brian is an 8-year-old white Labrador Retriever, which makes him about 56 dog years old. Number 100. The executives at Fox are quite uncomfortable with the fact that Brian frequently dates and sleeps with human women, and have unsuccessfully fought to keep him from doing so, thanks mainly to the show's sponsors who see Brian as more of a person with human rights than a dog. 101. Brian was designed to be an animated avatar for Seth MacFarlane himself. Not only are their personalities very similar, many of Brian's ideals are actually MacFarlane's himself. Like Seth, Brian is also a hardcore liberal and atheist. Number 102. Many fans were shocked and outraged when Brian died, but since an episode of Family Guy takes a year to produce, it was always in MacFarlane's plan to bring him back. Number 103. The Griffin's temporary replacement for Brian, Vinny, was played by actor Tony Sirico, known for playing Paulie Gualtieri on The Sopranos and Tony Stacks in Goodfellas. Number 104. The Family Guy crew was able to reunite the entire cast of one of MacFarlane's favorite shows, Star Trek: The Next Generation, for the episode All Dogs Go to Heaven. Family Guy producer David A. Goodman had previously written an episode of Futurama called Where No Fan Has Gone Before, which reunited some members of the Next Generation's cast. Number 105. While Brian frequently writes books in the show, he has one in real life too. Brian Griffin's Guide to Booze, Broads, and the Lost Art of Being a Man was published in real life in 2006. Number 106. MacFarlane's status as a vocal chameleon was publicly recognized when he received an Emmy at the 52nd Emmy Awards in 2000 for his performance as Stewie Griffin. Stewie's voice would receive love again when it earned Seth an Annie Award in 2005. Number 107. Family Guy's quality spans beyond the talented voice actors and freaking sweet animation. It's got some pretty excellent musical numbers as well. It would only make sense that the song You've Got a Lot to See won the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Music and Lyrics in 2002. Here's some extra facts. Stewie and Brian opened up the 2007 Primetime Emmy Awards with a musical number they called You Can Find It on TV, which used the exact same tune as Family Guy's FCC song. When asked if he ever considered giving Quagmire his own spin-off, Seth MacFarlane stated that he doesn't think a character like Quagmire could carry a show on his own, mainly because he's a despicable, immoral character that would suffer from the character development protagonists are obligated to experience. Simply put, if Quagmire becomes progressively moral, he progressively loses his charm. However, the Cleveland show joked about the idea with the Quagmire show with the theme song To Live and Die in VA. The two shows' art style are fundamentally different, which doesn't slip past the characters. Peter says the Simpsons looked like they have hepatitis, and Homer calls the Griffins albino. If you look closely during the original opening theme song sequence, Joe can be seen lifting his legs in order to kick upward when participating in the kick line due to his handicap.
Folks just couldn't get enough Family Guy facts, so later that year, in September of 2016, ChannelFrederator popped out another video. 107 Family Guy Facts That You Should Know, Part 3. And we successfully made a trilogy. George Lucas would be proud, and by extension, so would Seth MacFarlane and the rest of the Family Guy team.
We fell in love with them back in 1999, and luckily, Family Guy keeps coming back for more, even after being cancelled.
Booyah!
And now we're back with more facts about our favorite Griffin family. Peter, Lois, Chris, Meg, Stewie, and thankfully, still Brian. We can't get enough of these kooky characters, and we're guessing that neither can you. Hi, I'm Leo Camacho with ChannelFrederator, and it's time to get your sarcasm and pop culture parodies on, because we're here to give you 107 more facts about Family Guy. Let's get started. Number 1. According to Seth MacFarlane, the reason Stewie was once hell-bent on killing Lois and achieving world domination was due to the aggression and confusion he felt about his sexual orientation, which, as we stated in our previous videos, is homosexual. This is evident by the fact that the more Stewie has embraced his true identity, the less focused he appears to be on evil schemes. Number 2. In reality, Seth and the writing team diminished Stewie's evil nature simply because they believed the whole evil genius trying to take over the world was nothing more than an outdated plot from the 90s. We're looking at you, Pinky and the the brain. Number 3. Glenn Quagmire was loosely modeled after legendary actor-comedian Bob Hope. Stewie even makes a reference to this in Baby Not On Board when he refers to Quagmire as Bob Hope. What's also worth noting is that Bob Hope has an airport named after him in Burbank, California. And as we've mentioned in our previous videos, Quagmire is, in fact, a pilot. Number 4. The writers decided to have an evil monkey live in Chris's closet because they thought it would be funny to give Chris a ridiculous fear that only a child would have in order to complement Chris's childlike mind, but then make it actually real. Writer Mike Barker came up with the idea of the monkey's evil grimace and pointing gesture. Number 5. The reason the evil monkey is, well, evil is due to the fact that after a hard day's work, the once normal monkey returned home and walked in on another monkey in bed with his monkey wife. That's a lot of monkeying around. Number 6. The Family Guy animation studio features a graveyard plastered onto a wall devoted to the memory of the countless animated lives that the show has taken over the years. This was not created out of respect for the characters, but for the sake of keeping track of the show's continuity. It would be strange to suddenly see someone back from the dead with no explanation. Let's keep that for the zombie shows. Number 7. No, your eyes weren't getting better. Season 9 was the first Family Guy season to air in 720p high definition. They even remastered the opening title sequence for the occasion. Number 8. In the episode Love Thy Trophy, Lois calls Bonnie Swanson Debbie. According to Lois's voice actress Alex Borstein, this was a goof she made during a recording session that nobody else ever caught, thus making its way into the final episode. Number 9. Iconic Simpsons characters like Ned Flanders, Waylon Smithers, and Mr. Burns didn't have speaking parts in The Simpsons Guy because their voice actor, Harry Shearer, was unavailable to participate in the episode and missed out on some golden interactions his character could have had with the Griffins. Number 10. Oddly enough, Seth Green did not have a hand in creating the Robot Chicken universe segment in Road to the Multiverse, nor did the usual Robot Chicken team for that matter. It was created by a group known as the Screen Novelties, which had previously done some of the animation work on Robot Chicken during its earlier seasons. Number 11. Mayor Adam West in Family Guy was based on a similar incarnation of an Adam West caricature featured in an episode of Johnny Bravo that was written by Seth MacFarlane.
Well, game on, Quahog.
And that character was also voiced by the real Adam West. Much like Family Guy's Adam West, the Adam West in Johnny Bravo is a delusional man with ludicrous beliefs. Number 12. Despite it being Seth's normal speaking voice, voicing Brian can be difficult for him at times. Seth said delivering heartfelt emotional lines and monologues as Brian is hard for him because he doesn't have a silly voice that he can hide behind. With a normal voice like Brian's, it's got to be 100% authentic performance. Number 13. Lois isn't the only animated wife Alex Borstein plays. She also plays Janice Buchwald on Fox's newest show, Bordertown, about a dysfunctional animated family. It was created by former Family Guy writer Mark Henteman and even produced by Seth MacFarlane, so, you know, it's all in the family. Number 14. Ever wonder why Carl is so good at doing impersonations of Bob Belcher and Sterling Archer? It may come as a complete shock, but Carl shares the same voice actor as those two characters, H. John Benjamin, which also means Carl can most likely do a pretty good Coach McGurk as well. Number 15. For whatever reason, Mike Henry has used the same voice he does for Bruce for other various characters and cutaway gags throughout the series. Some of these characters are the xenomorph from Alien and the shark from Jaws, which, oddly enough, was referred to as Bruce on the set of the Spielberg film, Spoopy. Number 16. As talented as she is, it's been said that singing isn't Mila Kunis' strong suit. So, in the off chance that Meg needs to break out into song, her singing voice is provided by none other than voice acting sensation Tara Strong, aka the woman behind characters like Harley Quinn and Timmy Turner. Number 17. Stewie's arch nemesis, Bertram, was voiced by actor Wallace Shawn, who is known for usually playing less menacing characters like Rex the dinosaur from Toy Story. Sweet to evil range? Now that's some talent. Number 18. Peter's long-lost sister, Karen, is played by SNL cast member and certified Ghostbuster, Kate McKinnon. Number 19. Ernie the Giant Chicken and the evil monkey in Chris's closet are both voiced by Family Guy executive producer Danny Smith. Danny has also written over 15 episodes of the show. Number 20. Danny Smith wanted to make the evil monkey's name Gunner, but the rest of the crew voted against this on the grounds that they couldn't take the name seriously. Isn't that the point of comedy, though? Number 21. The narrator of the episode Road to the North Pole is Ron MacFarlane. You guessed it, Seth MacFarlane's dad. Number 22. While TV shows usually only have one composer, Family Guy has got two of them, Walter Murphy and Ron Jones. They don't settle for computer-generated music either. Each bit of the show's soundtrack is performed by a 40-piece orchestra, from full-blown musical numbers to simple cues. They go all out for the Griffin family. Number 23. Ron Jones has been with Family Guy before it was even called Family Guy. He scored the animated short and Family Guy predecessor, Larry and Steve. Number 24. Ron has had quite quite a bit of success outside of his work with Family Guy, having composed for shows like Star Trek The Next Generation and DuckTales. He's also responsible for creating one of the catchiest cartoon theme songs in recent history, Frederator's very own The Fairly Odd Parents. Number 25. Before he composed for Family Guy, Walter Murphy was known for creating a massively popular disco version of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony called A Fifth of Beethoven. This 70s hit quickly made the top 40 and even made its way into the film Saturday Night Fever. It also made an appearance on Family Guy itself. Number 26. Family Guy isn't the only project Walter Murphy and McFarlane have collaborated on. Walter also had his hand in composing for American Dad and McFarlane's films Ted and Ted 2. Number 27. The song Everything is Better with a Bag of Weed was featured in episode 420 as a parody of the song Me Ol' Bamboo from the film Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Number 28. The Family Guy Star Wars trilogy is officially known as the Laugh It Up Fuzzball trilogy. This is a quote spoken by Han Solo to Chewbacca in The Empire Strikes Back when everybody's favorite Wookiee laughs at an insult at Han's expense.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
Number 29. Family Guy Blue Harvest was released in 2007 during the 30th anniversary of the release of the specific Star Wars film it parodies. Number 30. The Laugh It Up Fuzzball trilogy doesn't completely ignore the other Star Wars episodes. Blue Harvest contains a cutaway gag featuring Watto from Star Wars The Phantom Menace, making him the only prequel exclusive character to appear in the entire Family Guy saga. At least it wasn't Jar Jar. Number 31. Blue Harvest defies all Family Guy traditions by containing just a single cutaway gag through its 47-minute runtime. Number 32. At the beginning of Blue Harvest, Peter claims his tale is one of love and loss, father and son, and the foresight to retain intentional merchandising rights. The last bit is a jab at 20th Century Fox, the distributor of both Family Guy and the first 6 Star Wars films, for allowing Lucasfilm to retain full rights to the merchandising side of Star Wars, a side that makes way more money than the films themselves. According to McFarlane, Fox has a very thick skin and never once gave grief to the Family Guy staff over the joke. Number 33. The scene in Blue Harvest where Peter and Chris are moving the couch was entirely ad-libbed by Seth MacFarlane himself. Number 34. In this episode, one of the Empire Star Destroyers features a bumper sticker from the Bush-Cheney re-election campaign. Number 35. At the end of Blue Harvest, the family witnessing the plight of the rebellion in their space station wagon is the Griswolds from the film series National Lampoon's Vacation starring Chevy Chase. Number 36. Something 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 Dark Side was the last episode in the series to be produced with hand-drawn animatics. After this episode, Family Guy became hellbent on saving the trees, drawing their animatics digitally on tablets. Number 37. Unlike Blue Harvest, Something 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 Dark Side was available on DVD before it was broadcast on television. The home video was released on December 22nd, 2009, and it first aired on Fox about 4 months later on May 23rd, 2010. Number 38. In Something 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 Dark Side, the song used to torture Peter is Where Have All the Cowboys Gone by Paula Cole. You know, just in case you need to get some information out of your enemies. Number 39. The Jedi training montage in this episode is intercut with clips of the training montage from Rocky IV. The music playing is also from the Rocky montage. Number 40. Before the third Star Wars parody was named It's a Trap, it went through 2 working titles. Episode 6, The Great Muppet Caper, and We Have a Bad Feeling About This. The latter making much more sense since I've Got a Bad Feeling About This is a reoccurring line in the Star Wars saga. Number 41. Much like Meg, Joe Swanson plays 3 different characters throughout the Laugh It Up Fuzzball trilogy. In the extended DVD cut of Blue Harvest, he plays Biggs Darklighter, while in Something 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 Darkside, he plays the Imperial Probe Droid. He then gets a much bigger part, both literally and figuratively, in the final installment, It's a Trap, where he plays Jabba the Hutt. Number 42. During It's a Trap, when Jabba's subtitles read, Put them in, he is verbally saying,
Mila Kunis,
the name of Meg's voice actress. Using Mila's name as foreign vocabulary is actually a reoccurring joke in Seth MacFarlane projects. He made Mila Kunis a word that the Native Americans used in the film A Million Ways to Die in the West, where it translates to, okay. Number 43. In this episode, when Luke gives his friends a more than lengthy signal to attack Jabba and his men, a live-action clip of a man sarcastically exclaiming, Well, we're waiting, is cut into the sequence. This is archive footage from the 1980 film Caddyshack starring Bill Murray. The character from the clip is Ted Knight's Judge Smales. Number 44. If you're waiting for a Family Guy take on Star Wars The Force Awakens, don't hold your breath. Family Guy producer Alex Sulkin said it wasn't happening. 1, because of how difficult and daunting it was to churn out the original Family Guy Star Wars trilogy, and 2, because Lucasfilm is no longer an independent entity and was acquired by the Walt Disney Corporation, a company who is much more protective of its properties than Lucasfilm. Number 45. Looks like the Griffins aren't that protective of their properties. Lois once starred in a pornographic film during her college days, something Quagmire is probably feverishly seeking out. Number 46. Meg once carved Lisa Simpson's name into her own arm as a symbol of their friendship. I think a friendship bracelet would have sufficed. Number 47. While it's important to love your family, Meg and Chris take things a bit too far. Not only do they practice kissing on each other, but they've also been known to take baths together. Awkward. Number 48. According to Alex Borstein, the secret to keeping Lois and Peter's marriage alive lies in Peter's ability to please Lois in the bedroom in ways no man ever has. Considering how many men would line up for Lois, Peter must be doing some truly exceptional things. Number 49. Known for his everlasting dim-wittedness, Chris adds to that with his belief that babies come from the Child Welfare Office. I guess that's closer than storks. Number 50. Chris is what Bob Ross would call a happy accident.
And that'll just be our little secret.
However, not all was glum, for Peter and Lois were able to successfully sue the company that manufactured the condom they used, which in turn got them their house. Number 51. Throughout the series, Lois has made it abundantly clear that she is bisexual. In Stewie Be Good, she claims that she went back to men because women were huge teases. Lois also attempts to teach Meg how to kiss girls by making out with one of her lesbian friends, and said that she herself used to practice on her girlfriends. Nice. Number 52. Lois once had a stroke which forever inhibited her ability to say the name Jackie Robinson. No baseball trivia for her. Number 53. Brian has taken on a variety of jobs throughout his life. He's been a drug-sniffing dog for the police department, a waiter, an English teacher, a telemarketer, a taxi driver, and even a porn director. Number 54. Brian is a member of Mensa, an organization of people that score in the 98th percentile or above on a standardized IQ test, making Brian more intelligent than most humans. Number 55. Stewie was inadvertently responsible for the Big Bang at the beginning of the universe. He did this when he and Brian attempted to return to the space-time continuum and overloaded, causing one of Stewie's devices to create a big explosion, or a Big Bang. Keep in mind, this was an episode that Neil deGrasse Tyson consulted on for scientific accuracy, minus the talking dog. Number 56. Although he is highly intelligent and way too mature for his age, Stewie can't help but be entranced by the Teletubbies and the famous children's musician, Raffi. Number 57. In Season 8, during the episode Family Guy, it is revealed that Lois's mother Barbara is a survivor of the Holocaust. Number 58. Mayor Adam West is married to Lois's sister Carol Peterschmidt. So Peter is technically an in-law of Batman? Holy horseshoe, Batman! Number 59. Back in the 70s, Peter and Lois were in a band together called A Handful of Peter. Peter played the guitar and Lois played the mandolin. Aw, the cartoon Sonny and Cher. Number 60. During the courtroom scene of The Simpsons Guy, you can see the animated cameo of Simpsons creator Matt Groening in the far left corner of the room, and the cameo of Family Guy head honcho Seth MacFarlane in the far right corner. Both creators are drawn in the style of their respective shows, with Groening catching a bad case of hepatitis. Number 61. In the episode The Kiss Scene Around the World, Peter is called a big fat phony by a kid that is credited as Holden Caulfield.
You're a phony!
Which is a reference to the protagonist in J.D. Salinger's novel The Catcher in the Rye. Like the Holden scene in Family Guy, J.D. Salinger's Holden Caulfield has a burning hatred of inauthenticity and calls many people
the great big phony!
Number 62. Peter's shirt is actually a woman's blouse, and the evidence is all in the buttons. A men's shirt is typically buttoned up with the left side over the right side, whereas Peter's shirt has the right side overlapping the left side, which is how women's shirts are designed to be. Just take a look at Lois's blouse for reference. Number 63. When Brian and Stewie visit the Disney universe, many of the Family Guy characters become Disney-fied to resemble certain famous characters. Peter resembles Mr. Shmee from Peter Pan, Lois resembles Snow White, Meg parallels Ursula from The Little Mermaid, Cleveland is Flower from Bambi, Adam West is Jack from Cinderella, Joe is Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast, and Herbert is clearly the Wicked Queen from Snow White. Number 64. The way Brian dies in Life of Brian is the exact same way Brian's human counterpart meets his end in The Road to the Multiverse. Both are hit by a car in the street. Number 65. The Road 2 episodes are named after the 7 similarly titled movies featuring Bing Cosby and Bob Hope, such as The Road to Morocco and The Road to Rio. Number 66. Despite having met Jesus Christ himself and seen him perform miracles, Brian is still a devout atheist. Some things never change. Number 67. According to Family Guy, Jesus is an avid Call of Duty player. Sorry, Battlefield fans, they got dibs on entrance to heaven. Number 68. Peter's abusive behavior towards Meg is more than just a gag. In the episode Peter's Sister, it's revealed that Peter's animosity towards his daughter stems from the abuse he received from his older sister Karen when he was a child. His parents' refusal to intervene didn't make matters any better. Tragic? Yes, but somehow still comedic. Number 69. Giggity. The poster poster used to promote the episode Stewie Kills Lois is a parody of the movie poster for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, starring Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Number 70. The combat garb that Lois wears in Lois Kills Stewie is the same outfit that John Rambo wears in Rambo 3. Number 71. Despite being celebrated as the show's 100th episode, Stewie Kills Lois is actually the 101st episode produced. The 100th episode was a special clip show with the gag interviews in between. Number 72. Lois actually has a degree in journalism, which is revealed when she uses her degree to join Fox News in the episode Foxy Lady. Number 73. The episode title, Moving Out, Brian's song, is a reference to the Billy Joel song, Moving Out, Anthony's song. Number 74. Chris's voice was based on Seth Green's questionable Buffalo Bill impression. The reference comes full circle in the episode Steroids, when Chris reenacts a scene from Silence of the Lambs in which Buffalo Bill puts on makeup and dances naked to the song Goodbye Horses. Number 75. In the episode One If by Clam, Two If by Sea, if you watch the Tron cutaway gag upside down, you'll notice a hidden message in the background that reads, "If you can read this, your TV is upside down." Number 76. Peter once purchased a fishing boat at a police auction for $50,000. He named the boat the SS More Powerful Than Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, and the Incredible Hulk put together. This name was later proven to be a blatant lie when it sank in the episode The Perfect Castaway. Number 77. Lois's father, Carter Pewterschmidt, regularly plays poker with some of the big leagues, including the former Disney CEO Michael Eisner, Microsoft's Bill Gates, and reluctantly, Ted Turner. Number 78. Viewers find out that actress Jennifer Love Hewitt is the niece of Mort and Muriel Goldman. I guess she inherited her looks from the other half of the family. Number 79. One of Bonnie Swanson's biggest turn-ons is apparently watching her husband lie to strangers. Whatever floats your boat. Number 80. Karen's wrestling persona is named Heavy Flo, which is a common slang term referring to a woman's menstrual cycle, aka Aunt Flo. That can also be applied here since Karen is the aunt of Meg, Chris, and Stewie. Number 81. To add to Karen's innuendos, her signature move, the Toxic Shock, is a play on toxic shock syndrome, an illness women can commonly experience if they leave a tampon in for too long. This is further supported by the fact that the move involves Karen holding her victim between her legs. Number 82. The Griffin family's doctor, Dr. Elmer Hartman, is named after Seth MacFarlane's good friend and legendary animator, Butch Hartman, whose birth name is actually Elmer. Just in case you need a reminder, Butch is the creator of shows like The Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, and Tough Puppy. Number 83. Butch even did a voice for the show's pilot pitch, playing Peter's boss, Mr. Jonathan Weed, at the Happy-Go-Lucky Toy Factory. Carlos Alazraqui, known for playing Rocco on Rocco's Modern Life, played Jonathan Weed in the actual series until the character eventually met his demise. Number 84. Brian wrote a book called Faster Than the Speed of Love, which, despite receiving a sticker from Oprah Winfrey's book club, sold 0 copies. Number 85. Brian isn't the only author in the Griffin family. Lois has written a book of her own called It Takes a Village Idiot and I Married One, for real world's sake, actually written by Lois's voice actress, Alex Borstein. The first is actually a play on Hillary Clinton's 1996 book, It Takes a Village. Number 86. If you look closely during the funeral scene in Life of Brian, you'll see that Cleveland temporarily returned to Quahog from Stool Bend with his wife Donna to pay their respects to Brian. Number 87. Fuzzy Door Productions, the production company behind the show, got its name from the residence MacFarlane lived in during his years at Rhode Island School of Design, which was nicknamed the Fuzzy Door due to the fact that the house's doors were covered in fake leopard print furs. Number 88. The Fuzzy Door logo was even designed by a former resident of the Fuzzy Door house, graphic designer Corey Brooks, a close friend of MacFarlane's. Number 89. In 2013, TV Guide named Family Guy the 9th best cartoon of all time, out of a list of 60. Not bad for a show that was canceled twice. Number 90. Family Guy's cancellation actually helped with the birth of another popular adult animated show. When Family Guy's broadcasting rights were given to Adult Swim, Seth developed a good relationship with the late-night programming block and was able to put in a good word for Chris's voice actor, Seth Green, who was trying to sell a show pitch. That show was none other than Robot Chicken. Number 91. The Family Guy character voice that Seth MacFarlane gets the least requests to do in person is Tom Tucker. Number 92. Oddly enough, the FCC actually enjoyed the episode PTV, in which Peter takes on the FCC. Good to know they have a sense of humor. Number 93. Liam Neeson's role in MacFarlane's A Million Ways to Die in the West can be traced back to the Family Guy cutaway gag, in which Liam Neeson struggles to act as a cowboy in a Western film due to his heavy Irish accent. Thanks to his sons, Neeson found out about this cutaway, and when MacFarlane called him about doing A Million Ways to Die, Neeson said he would do the film on the condition that he was allowed to use his Irish accent for the character. Also, a good sense of humor. Number 94. Liam Neeson later got his revenge on Peter when he beat the crap out of him in the episode Fighting Irish. The real Liam Neeson even came in to play himself this time. Number 95. After South Park's attack on Family Guy in 2006 and on pop star Britney Spears in 2009, Spears offered to make a cameo in a possible retaliation episode of Family Guy against Trey Parker and Matt Stone, creators of South Park. McFarlane took the high road and decided to scrap the episode, not wanting to start a feud with the South Park staff, explaining that it would do more harm than good. Number 96. One of the more intense responses Seth got from a celebrity that the show targeted was from Jon Stewart. It was over a joke in the show that accused Stewart of working before the infamous Writers Guild strike had ended. Stewart engaged in an angry phone call with McFarlane that turned into an hour-long heated debate, which Seth and Stewart are very good at. Number 97. The episode When You Wish Upon a Weinstein was intended to be the 5th episode of Season 2, but was pulled by Fox for its subject matter regarding the Jewish people. It was later aired as the finale to Season 3 after an alteration to the verse in the song I Need a Jew. Number 98. When You Wish Upon a Weinstein wasn't quite finished giving Family Guy trouble just yet. After it aired, it caught the unwanted attention of Disney, who sued the show on the grounds that the song I Need a Jew had the same tune as the song When You Wish Upon a Star, featured in Disney's 1940 feature film Pinocchio. Fortunately for Seth MacFarlane and company, Disney lost the lawsuit, bringing When You Wish Upon a Weinstein's reign of terror to an end. Number 99. The episode Run Chris Run features a gag in which Peter exploits a game-breaking glitch in the NES title Double Dribble, which utilized actual footage from the original game. This Double Dribble gameplay footage was not actually produced by Fox, but was taken from a user on YouTube by the name of Switched. Number 100. That Double Dribble footage actually got them into some YouTube drama because it was taken from Switched without his knowledge or consent. Due to the nature of YouTube's automated system put in place to punish copyright infringement, Switched gameplay was mistaken for Family Guy footage and was taken down by 20th Century Fox. After much support from the YouTube community and even Seth MacFarlane himself, Switched video was restored by Fox and by YouTube. Number 101. 20th Century Fox and Target department stores teamed up to promote the Peanuts movie, with a commercial centered around the Peanuts crew holding auditions to cast their silver screen counterparts. Among the actors auditioning are Stewie dressed as Charlie Brown and Brian wearing Snoopy's fighter plane garb. Had they have been chosen, we would have gotten a very different interpretation of the Peanuts. Number 102. Seth MacFarlane was nominated for Best Voice Acting Performance in the 36th Annie Awards, but lost out to Ahmed Best for his performance in Robot Chicken Star Wars Episode 2. Ahmed Best is the man behind the much-beloved Jar Jar Binks, both in Robot Chicken and The Phantom Menace. Number 103. Family Guy once attempted to merge itself with the World of Warcraft and the show's very own MMORPG game, Family Guy Online. The game utilized the Unity engine and took on a cel-shaded graphics style. Players could design their own Family Guy character, interact with other players' characters, and even take quests from Family Guy's cast of series regulars. The game's public beta opened in April 2012 and abruptly ended on January 2013. Production of the game shut down completely afterwards, and the final product never came to be. Number 104. Contrary to popular belief, legendary actor Leonard Nimoy's final role was not Spock in Star Trek Into Darkness. It was Spock in the mobile game Family Guy: The Quest for Stuff. Number 105. While Road to the Multiverse never got a part 2 on the show, the universally acclaimed episode did get a sequel in the form of a video game called Family Guy: Back to the Multiverse, released for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC in November of 2012. Number 106. Just because Vinny's incorporation into the Griffin family has been erased doesn't necessarily mean that the character himself has. According to Seth MacFarlane, Vinny could very well return to the series in the future, but as of right now, nothing is planned. Number 107. Seth MacFarlane has wanted to bring Family Guy to the big screen for years and frequently thinks about what the film would be like. Seth has gone on record saying that he's got a fairly fleshed out plot for the film and that it would be something that cannot be done on TV. Unfortunately, the Family Guy crew and himself have been far too busy to actually make it happen. Yet.
Of course, restarting a series after the trilogy completed many years ago is just a cheap cash grab, right? What we should have done is started at 107 Facts About Family Guy You Should Know Part 4, gone all the way and wrapped up at Part 7, and then started again at Part 1, right? We even hired some new schmuck to do the voiceover this time. Who is this guy? It seems today that all you see are trendy dances on TikTok, but Family Guy is still on TV. It's been a while since we've kept up with Peter and the rest of the Griffins. Luckily, there's a Family Guy 107 right here for you, just like those 107 Facts videos on which you used to rely. Here's 107 facts about Family Guy. Let's jump in straight away with the first episode of season 16, Emmy-winning episode. This episode features 3 different guest actors, each from Modern Family: Sofia Vergara, Julie Bowen, and Ty Burrell. Number 2. Despite Peter's complaints, Family Guy has actually won 7 Emmys across a number of categories, including Outstanding Music and Lyrics, Outstanding Individual Achievement in Animation, and Outstanding Character Voiceover Performance. Number 3. However, it still grinds his gears that Family Guy still has not won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Animated Program. 4 episodes have been nominated, but none have won. Number 4. In episode 2, Fox in the Men House, Lois is impersonated by Meryl Streep, who actually plays herself as a guest voice. This is the second time Lois has been impersonated by another character. First was by Mr. Rogers, who didn't voice himself. Number 5. For the next episode, Nanny Goats, Meg appears but has no lines. Over the next season or so, Meg's lines are limited in general because Mila Kunis, her voice actor, was mostly away taking care of her newborn son. Number 6. Peter's phone number is given as 555-0112. Strangely enough, Seamus is shown to have the same phone number in the next episode, Follow the Money. Number 7. In that same episode, Follow the Money, the serial number of the dollar bill in the opening credits is the same as the writing season and episode production number. Number 8. Episode 5, 3 Directors, is Carrie Fisher's last recorded performance as Angela. She would still appear as Angela in the upcoming episode Don't Be a Dickens at Christmas, but the last lines she read were for this episode. Number 9. According to executive producer Richard Appel, the last direction the Family Guy team gave to Carrie Fisher as Angela was a deep French kiss with Peter Griffin. Go wild. Number 10. At one point, the Family Guy production team considered making this episode an hour long. Just the Michael Bay segment alone was 18 minutes long and was almost made into an entirely different episode itself. Number 11. In episode 6, the D in Apartment 23, we see that Brian's Twitter account is @dogbackwards. Turns out that handle is actually a real Twitter account that's attributed to Brian and has been since 2016. Number 12. You can also see a bunch of hate tweets directed to Brian. If you look closely, they're from various Fuzzy Door production staff. One tweet from Matt Fussfeld of American Dad reads, "If I were the Baywatch lifeguards, I'd let you drown, you pig." Number 13. For episode 8, Crimes and Meg's Demeanor, Meg gets her hands on a fake ID. On the ID, Meg's measurements are listed as 4'8" and 160 pounds. Number 14. At the same time, we have to take these figures with a grain of salt. It is a fake ID, and the picture that she used is of former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, just with Meg's classic pink cap. Number 15. Season 16's 10th episode, Boy Dog Meets Girl Dog, had a very different title behind the scenes. The episode's original title was registered as Brian Dates a Bitch. Before air, it was changed for a pretty obvious reason. Number 16. You thought that was vulgar? Apparently, the original Family Guy animators originally showed various angles of Max mounting Ellie. However, each one was rejected by the network, so they had to make the scene take place from Ellie's point of view to dodge the censors. Number 17. Also, Brian and Stewie joke about how they were supposed to be on one of the planes involved in. This is a reference to how Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane was supposed to be on Flight 11, one of the planes that crashed into the. Of course, he voices both Brian and Stewie. Number 18. Episode 11, Dog Bites Bear, is the 300th episode of Family Guy, both written and broadcast on television. Number 19. In episode 13, V is for Mystery, there's a morbid visual South Park goof. If you look closely in the title sequence, you can see the skeleton of South Park's Kenny McCormick. You bastards. Number 20. Episode 16, Family Guy Through the Years, is one giant homage to classic television shows. In the introduction, you'll see tons of references to old school shows in the background, including Twilight Zone, I Love Lucy, The Brady Bunch, and many more. Number 21. When Family Guy heads to the 70s, the outfit that Meg wears to the cemetery is exactly like one of the outfits Mila Kunis wore as Jackie in that 70s show. Number 22. Episode 18, HTT Pete, features Adam West's last speaking appearance after he died in 2017. His final lines are when he reads from the book of Just Jared at Hammer's funeral. Number 23. Adam West's death reverberated throughout season 17 as well. In the first episode, West was actually supposed to officiate the wedding, but he died before he got the chance to record his lines. Number 24. In episode 2, Dead Dog Walking, you can see that Lois's Instagram is Daughtry Mom, a nod to her love of Daughtry. When the episode came out though, the real handle Daughtry Mom wasn't tied to Lois, unlike Brian's Twitter. Number 25. The title of episode 4, Big Trouble in Little Quahog, is a play on the Kurt Russell action movie Big Trouble in Little China. Number 26. For that same episode, the title was originally registered as Shrinky Dinks, named for those plastic art toys that you can turn into keychains and stuff. Number 27. In episode 6, Stand By Meg, Chris says that he's not Jewish. While he obviously doesn't go to temple or anything, ethnically, Chris is actually Jewish from Lois's side of the family. Lois found out that she had Jewish heritage in the season 8 episode Family Guy. Number 28. When Meg fires her rifle during the race in episode 7, Griffin Winter Games, the rifle kicks up with recoil. In reality, those biathlon rifles are designed to have as little recoil as possible, so Meg's rifle shouldn't have kicked up at all. Number 29. In episode 8, Con Eris, we hear Pip's full name, which I won't repeat here because we don't have all day. Just know that the name is loaded with references from historically wealthy families like Vanderbilt and Rockefeller, celebrity names like Louis Dreyfus and Mellencamp, to complete nonsense like Big League Chew and Monty Python. Number 30. Seth MacFarlane's voiceover work for episode 8 actually won him his 5th Primetime Emmy. Number 31. Episode 9, Pawtucket Pete, starts off with a cold open of Angela dying because Carrie Fisher died as well. In the opening theme song, Angela is replaced by Consuela. Number 32. For episode 11, Trump Guy, when Peter and Trump fight in Congress, you can see a number of prominent politicians in the background. Among others, you'll see depictions of Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Ted Cruz, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer. Number 33. The Family Guy writers originally also wanted to depict Trump's national security advisor Michael Flynn, but they felt that the reference wouldn't be timely enough. Instead, they replaced him with Roger Stone. Number 34. In episode 12, Bry Robot, Robot Brian says, "Whoa, ass ahoy." This is a callback to one of Brian's lines from the very first Family Guy episode to air, Death Has a Shadow. Number 35. Episode 15, No Giggity No Doubt, is dedicated to Luke Perry, who died on March 4th, 2019, just a few days ahead of the episode's release day of March 10th. Perry famously had a guest spot as himself back in season 2. Number 36. Episode 16, You Can't Handle the Booth, features a fictional Family Guy episode called New Phone Who Dis. You can see that the episode's production number is HACX14, which is the same production number as episode 16. Number 37. If you want to watch New Phone Who Dis without the extra commentary from the characters, you can see it on the DVD release of season 17. Number 38. Oh, and if you don't know what a DVD is, then thankfully Brian and Stewie take some time in this episode to explain what it is and how it works. Number 39. In episode 18, Throw It Away, Peter's storage unit has a number of references to older episodes piled up in there. You can see his Gary the No Trash Cougar costume, the skull of Chief Diamond Phillips, and Peter's romance novel, Peterotica, among other things. Number 40. In the internet corn cutaway joke, the website www.cornography.com is actually a working URL. Don't worry though, it just links back to the official Family Guy website. Number 41. In episode 19, Girl Interneted, Refrigerator Meg's jersey looks just like a Chicago Bears football jersey. This is likely a reference to William the Refrigerator Perry, who played for the Bears from 1985 to 1993. Number 42. The sound effect that plays when Meg gets a new follower is the same sound that a Nintendo Game Boy makes when it powers on. Number 43. Episode 20, Adam West High, is of course dedicated to the memory of Adam West. The end theme incorporates the theme of Adam West's original Batman series, and the late mayor even gets a 21 cat salute. Number 44. Sure enough, for the first episode of season 18, with Mayor Adam West gone, Seamus fills his spot in the opening theme song. Number 45. In episode 2, Brida, Ida asks if Friday Night Videos is still a thing. While it's not a thing anymore, Friday Night Videos was a music video show that aired on NBC from 1983 to 2002. Number 46. This episode also gives us some random Joe Swanson trivia. We learn that somehow Joe's adult teeth have never come in. Number 47. Episode 4, Disney's The Reboot, features a BoJack Horseman gag. However, when they show BoJack's Hollywood sign, it still has the D, despite the D being gone on in the original show. Number 48. In episode 5, Catfight, Adam West actually gets a voice credit. He briefly appears as a ghost that Peter catches with a Ghostbusters proton pack. Number 49. Episode 6, Peter and Lois's wedding actually retcons a bunch of the Family Guy lore. For instance, the episode alters the story of how Peter met Cleveland and Quagmire, which was first shown in Death Lives from season 3. Number 50. Here's another small detail that this episode changes: Lois's middle name. In the season 11 episode Call Girl, we learn that her middle name is Patrice. However, this time around, her middle name is given as common denominator. Number 51. In episode 8, Shanksgiving, one of the prisoners in the yearbook is Orlando Gumate, named for Family Guy's storyboard artist and director. Number 52. In episode 10, Connie's Celica, Brian calls these squirrels neighborinos. This is a reference to Ned Flanders' classic phrase from The Simpsons. Number 53. Episode 11, Shortcuts, is all about Brian wrestling with the idea of getting neutered. However, there's a cutaway gag in season 4 that shows he already was. You can see Brian decked out with a cone, a lower shaved patch, and stitches. Number 54. In episode 12, Undergrounded, the sign on the donkey in Mexico reads Aborto Andale. While it's supposed to mean fast abortions, Andale actually means something closer to come on. Instead, it should read Abortos Rapidos. Number 55. At one point, Joe claims that he was on Seinfeld. Technically, he's not wrong. His voice actor, Patrick Warburton, played a recurring character on Seinfeld, Elaine's on and off boyfriend, David Puddy. Number 56. The Quahog Marina in episode 13, Rich Old Stewie, is named after Robert Kraft. Kraft is the owner of the New England Patriots football team and Gillette Stadium, their home field. Number 57. In episode 13, The Movement, Peter tries to fight his diarrhea off, saying that he even tried smoking for the first time. However, we've definitely seen Peter smoke before. Season 12 even has an episode all about Peter taking up smoking. Secondhand Spoke. Number 58. Episode 18, Better Off Meg, teaches us a number of things about Meg. First, her age. Her tombstone states that she was born in 1999 and died in season 18. We also learn her birthday is March 23rd. This episode debuted in May 2020, so based on that, Meg would be about 21 years old. Number 59. Also, we get a look at Meg's actual ID. Unlike Meg's bogus Chris Christie ID, this new one says that Meg is 5'2" and weighs 156 pounds. Number 60. We also learn that Meg has mismatched feet based on her bowling shoes. Her left foot is a lady's size 7, while her right foot is a men's size 11. Number 61. Let's not dunk on Meg too much though. This episode also shows that she's a great bowler and has the distinct honor of being the Quiznos Loyalty King. Number 62. Episode 19, Holly Bibble, actually replaced a previously registered episode called Quagmire Guy. No telling what the Quagmire episode was about, but I'd guess it's about as far from the Bible as you can go. Number 63. This episode shows the Last Supper taking place at El Torito. If you want to have your next supper at El Torito, you're in luck. It's a real chain of Mexican restaurants on the US West Coast. Also, it's true, wombats do poop in cubes. Number 64. However, this episode didn't get everything right. Peter mentions Paul as a disciple, but Paul was not one of the 12. Also, Paul didn't even convert to Christianity until after the crucifixion. Number 65. In episode 20, Movin' In, Principal Shepard's song, we can see the Griffin family Wi-Fi is Joe Swanson guest. Sure enough, they're just stealing Joe's Wi-Fi. We also see that they're stealing Joe's Wi-Fi in season 13's This Little Piggy. Number 66. The bookstore Narin's Books is named after Family Guy storyboard artist Michael Narin. Number 67. Season 19 kicks off with a big deal, Stewie's first word. Of course, we've seen the Griffins understand Stewie a number of times throughout the show. This time though, it's officially his first word. And of course, it's fuck. Number 68. This is also Family Guy's 350th episode, and the first to have the 20th century logo, sans the fox, since Disney bought them out. Number 69. In episode 2 of season 19, The Talented Mr. Stewie, we learn Rupert's backstory. He used to belong to Chris, and his name was Skippy. Number 70. In episode 3, Boys and Squirrels, Joe mispronounces Willem Dafoe as William Dafoe. Funny enough, William Dafoe is actually Willem Dafoe's real name. I can't help Joe out with Kristen Dunst and Marble movies though. Number 71. Also, Meg has a morbid fascination with squirrels. In this episode, she says that she wants to take pictures of their dead bodies. Back in season 11's Friends Without Benefits, Chris mentioned that Meg taught him how to poison squirrels. Number 72. In episode 5, La Famiglia Guy, Chris calls his wife Tammy in English, but the subtitles refer to her as Apollonia. This is a reference to Michael Corleone's first wife in The Godfather. The car bomb joke is also a reference. Number 73. Tammy/Apollonia is actually Chris's second wife. He was first married to Loka from the season 4 episode Jungle Love, even though it was technically an accident. Number 74. Episode 6, Meg's Wedding, throws some more Meg trivia our way. According to Bruce, Meg's middle name is, apparently, Harvey Oswald. Number 75. In episode 7, Wild Wild West, Peter claims that Reddit says that he's responsible for 39 deaths throughout Family Guy's run. However, the night that Wild Wild West first aired, somebody asked Family Guy's Twitter how high Peter's body count actually was. They said, like, 52, so it seems like the jury's still out. Number 76. Episode 8, Pawtucket Pat, establishes that Pawtucket Pat was alive during colonial times when he founded the brewery. However, in season 2's Wasted Talent, Peter actually met a Willy Wonka-esque Pawtucket Pat when he went to the brewery. Number 77. Peter, Quagmire, and Joe speak German at the end of episode 11, Boy's Best Friend. Thankfully, I've got a translation for you. Peter says, "I am glad that everything is back to normal." Quagmire says, "I'm sorry about your car, Joe." And Joe responds, "It's okay. Now where is Jerome with the wiener?" Number 78. In episode 12, And Then There's Fraud, Stewie's yearbook has some Family Guy staff in there. There's Jonathan Gebhardt, storyboard artist, and Hillary Hager, production coordinator. Number 79. Episode 13, P. Terminator, also references Patrick Warburton's role in Seinfeld. When Terminator Peter scans Joe, Cleveland, and Quagmire, Joe's info reads Putty from Seinfeld. Number 80. At the same time, Cleveland comes up as frequent bathtub accidents. Family Guy fans know this is a reference to the recurring gag where Cleveland's house gets destroyed as he's taking a bath. Number 81. One of the customers of the week in episode 15, Customer of the Week, is actually Family Guy producer Richard Appel. Number 82. When Meg goes to college in episode 18, Meg Goes to College, Meg checks out the sorority Alpha Delta Pi. Although they have tons of chapters in real life, there's no chapter of Alpha Delta Pi at Brown. Number 83. Also, Meg sings Love is a Battlefield in Russian. Mila Kunis was actually born in Ukraine, and Russian is her native language. Number 84. In episode 19, Family Cat, the actual guy picture that Quagmire holds up is of actual guy and evolutionary biology professor Yaroslav Fleger. Fleger was the first one to discover and study the effects of toxoplasmosis on humans. Number 85. Family Guy's 20th season saw one major cast change. Episode 1, LASIK Instinct, is Arif Zahir's debut as the new voice of Cleveland Brown. Mike Henry is still credited as Cleveland on some holdover episodes he recorded before they recast. Number 86. Mike Henry played Cleveland for 20 years, but decided to step away from the role so that a person of color could take over the character. Number 87. Arif Zahir was offered the role because of his spot-on Cleveland impression, among other characters, that he did on his YouTube channel. Number 88. While he no longer plays Cleveland, Mike Henry is still on Family Guy, voicing Bruce, Herbert, and Consuela. Number 89. Episode 2, Rock Hard, is surprisingly the first episode where Patrick Warburton is credited as a full cast member instead of just a guest voice. Moving forward, Warburton would be credited like this from here on in. Number 90. Also, this episode is dedicated to Norm Macdonald, who died a few weeks earlier. He regularly played Deaf on Family Guy. Number 91. I can't believe I'm saying this, but in episode 5, Brief Encounter, Family Guy makes a JoJo's reference. The episode ends with a to be continued meme, complete with roundabout from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Number 92. In episode 6, Cootie and the Blowhard, Joe gives Brian the wand that Peter gave him and Bonnie as their wedding gift. However, when Joe and Bonnie first appeared in season 1, they were already married. Number 93. In episode 7, Peter Schmidt Manor, Lois jokes that Mad TV is funnier than SNL. Makes sense considering that Alex Borstein, Lois's voice actor, was on Mad TV for a number of years. Number 94. The happy asking panda from episode 10, Christmas Crime, is just like a Furby. And just like a Furby, the panda is suspicious as hell. In 1999, the Pentagon actually banned Furbies from the premises out of fear that they were being used for spying. Number 95. In episode 11, Mr. Act, Jesus says that toenails grow after you die. Not to argue with the Son of God, but that's actually a common misconception. Instead, the dehydration causes skin to shrink and retract, making nails look longer. Number 96. Episode 14, HBO No, includes a spoof of Game of Thrones. According to Family Guy, the RR in George R.R. Martin stands for Railroad, and here I thought it stood for Raymond Richard. Number 97. The cutaway joke of Quagmire's funeral in episode 15, Hard-Boiled Meg, includes a familiar face. You can see that the who else but Quagmire guy is there to pay his respects. Number 98. The title and plot of episode 17, All About Alana, are references to the 1950 movie All About Eve. It's about a young actress who sabotages the older actress who initially helps her. Number 99. The camp Chris goes to in episode 18, Girlfriend A, is called Camp Washington Football Team. This is a reference to the Washington Commanders, formerly the Washington Redskins, the football team that changed their name because it was offensive. Number 100. Finally, we've hit the latest season, season 21. In episode 4, The Manchurian Candidate, Joe and Bonnie's daughter Susie has black hair this time instead of her usual blonde hair. Number 101. In episode 6, Happy Halloween, when Hologram Peter is defeated, he morphs into Homer Simpson, Fred Flintstone, and also a character called Larry. Larry is from Seth MacFarlane's Larry Shorts, which eventually led to Family Guy. Number 102. While episode 8, Get Stewie, was promoted as the 400th Family Guy episode, it's only the 400th episode by production order. In release order, it's only episode 397. Number 103. Get Stewie was actually directly pitched to the producers by creator Seth MacFarlane. Number 104. According to an AMA he did in 2017, MacFarlane actually hasn't been a writer on Family Guy since like 2010. Instead, he's just focused on producing and voice acting. Number 105. Unlike Get Stewie, episode 11, Love Story Guy, is actually the 400th episode of Family Guy to be released. Number 106. As for what's next, MacFarlane confirmed in 2019 that a Family Guy movie was in the works. Number 107. Also in 2019, Family Guy celebrated its 20th anniversary since it first aired back in 1999. After more than 20 years, who knows what else Family Guy has in store? Alright, now that we've wrapped up that series of facts, we can take a look at some deeper cuts. Family Guy has never shied from controversy, as racy and raunchy jokes are the show's bread and butter. Fans love it, but broadcasters and other concerned interest groups aren't so thrilled. In June of 2017, CF brought some of the wildest Family Guy episodes together in 8 Family Guy episodes that were censored from TV. This one is hosted by Jacob Atkinson, and all I'll say about this is that I wish my beard would grow in as full as his does.
Since it premiered on Fox in 1999, Seth MacFarlane's Family Guy has joined the ranks of some of the most controversial shows in the history of television. The show has even been banned in a number of countries, including India, Indonesia, Taiwan, South Korea, Russia, and the list just goes on. On top of that, the countries that do broadcast the show heavily censor it, so almost every single episode has 2 or 3 different versions released. 2 broadcast versions and the uncut DVD versions. Hey guys, this is Jacob with ChannelFrederator, and today we're counting down the top 8 most Family Guy moments. From jokes that got cut to the infamously banned episodes, here are some of the highlights, or lowlights depending on how you feel, from the TV show's legendary run. Number 8. The Robin Williams incident. We're kicking things off here with a bit that caused the episode Family Guy Viewer Mail number 2 to be temporarily pulled from broadcast schedules. Now, while the bit itself isn't particularly offensive, timing was everything with this incident. Because what started out as a small coincidence turned into a minor controversy and a major censoring for all of the networks that found themselves broadcasting this episode at the time. If you're familiar with the episode, then you may remember the Robin Williams-centric segment, Fat Man and Robin, in which everything Peter touches turns into comedian Robin Williams. But by now, you've probably connected these dots and remembered that back in 2014, Robin Williams tragically passed away. However, the British network BBC Three found themselves in a bit of an awkward position when news of Williams' death broke just moments after a rerun of this episode had aired on their network. It was a total coincidence, and a shocking one at that. A BBC spokesperson had to make an official statement referring to the whole situation as an unseemly accident, proclaiming that all scheduled airings of that particular episode would be removed for the foreseeable future. This was just just bad timing at its worst. Number 7, the JFK assassination joke. If you're a seasoned fan of the show, you might remember this one from back in the day. This joke originally aired on Fox during the very first season of Family Guy, but it has since been removed from television broadcasting. The JFK Pez dispenser joke seemed like any other knee slapper made in bad taste, but even the show's creator, Seth MacFarlane, says that he regrets airing this joke in the first place. For those of you who don't recall, the gag goes as follows. A kid walks out of a grocery store excited about his new John F. Kennedy Pez dispenser. Not a second goes by and the head of the Pez dispenser is blown off by a sniper bullet. The kid then pulls out another candy dispenser, saying that he's glad he brought his backup, a Bobby Kennedy Pez dispenser. While the irony here was worthy of a guilty chuckle, Seth MacFarlane said that this was one joke that he definitely would not do today. The joke remains on the DVD releases, but again, it was removed from most subsequent airings. Number 6, the dirtiest joke in the world. Season 8 of the show featured a crossover with the Cleveland show titled The Splendid Source, in which Peter and his friends travel to find the origin of all dirty jokes. As it turns out, they discover that dirty jokes are in fact written by some of the world's greatest geniuses like Bill Gates and Stephen Hawking, but that's neither here nor there. If you've seen the episode anywhere but the DVD release, you were only graced with the punchline of the joke and the rest remains a mystery. However, the full joke was actually featured during the episode's original premiere. But it only aired once before networks completely removed it because, censored or not, this joke is just too filthy for TV. And also, unfortunately, this video, it's full of swears, sorry. Both censored and uncensored versions of the joke can be found online, but if you watch the streaming or broadcast versions, you'll just see a clip of a monkey scratching himself before the episode ends. Number 5, Turban Cowboy. On March 17, 2013, a rather controversial episode entitled Turban Cowboy aired, in which Peter unknowingly befriends a terrorist who plans on bombing a local bridge. The episode also features an unrelated cutaway gag in which Peter brags about having won the Boston Marathon by running over the competition in his car. Not a month later, the country witnessed the horrible tragedy of the Boston Marathon bombing. The real controversy struck once YouTube users started editing footage from the episode to make it look like Family Guy had predicted the terrorist attack. Throughout all of the outrage, the episode was removed from broadcast, removed from most online streaming, and removed from Fox altogether, making this a rare case in which someone else's actions had gotten a Family Guy episode removed from broadcasting. But for those of you who missed it, the episode has since returned to most online streaming services and is still broadcast on Adult Swim. Number 4, When You Wish Upon a Weinstein. One of the earliest and most notable Family Guy controversies comes from the original unaired series finale, When You Wish Upon a Weinstein, which was originally written as the 22nd episode of Season 3, but didn't actually air until 2003 due to its offensive nature. And even then, it only premiered on Adult Swim. The episode didn't air on its original network until a year later in 2004. Although it's now currently in syndication, this episode still holds the distinguished honor of being the first ever banned episode of Family Guy, which many speculate may have led to the show's cancellation. It also started rumors that Seth MacFarlane and the writers of the show were anti-Semitic. And to make matters worse, there was a rather lengthy lawsuit that took place over the song I Need a Jew, as it and the episode's title are a blatant parody of the Bourne Company's Oscar-winning song, When You Wish Upon a Star. You know, the one from Disney's Pinocchio? The lawsuit was worth $2 million, but after 2 years in court, the judge ruled in favor of the show, claiming that the writers had never infringed on the Bourne Company's copyright. Number 3, the Pat Tillman joke. With regards to offensive material, Family Guy has a never-ending list. Still, Seth MacFarlane claims that there is one joke that sits at the top of the entire thing. A joke so poorly timed that it never aired on the network. That joke would be the Pat Tillman cutaway, and that joke goes directly on Seth MacFarlane's list of the worst jokes of all time. If you're unfamiliar with Pat Tillman, he was a football player turned soldier who died by friendly fire in Afghanistan. Right off the bat, this is an uncomfortable setup, and you can only imagine where the Family Guy writers went with this sensitive subject. Of course, it was a cutaway involving Peter joining Pat Tillman's platoon, of which the commanding officer gives orders that Peter mistakenly repeats. The joke being that Peter's incompetence is what led to Pat Tillman's death. The network, of course, removed the joke for obvious reasons. However, Seth did eventually run into Pat Tillman's brother one day, and Seth couldn't resist the urge to tell his brother about the planned cutaway gag. And much to his surprise, his brother loved it. Sometimes in the face of tragedy, tragedy, there's nothing quite as powerful as a strong sense of humor. Number 2, the 420 episode. The 420 episode of Family Guy is definitely a fan favorite of the series. That catchy pro-marijuana song can get stuck in your head for days. In fact, the elaborate song and dance number even landed Brian the coveted Stoner of the Year award from High Times magazine. It was also the first time an animated character had ever received that honor. Surprisingly, the reception for this episode was mostly positive, unless you were in Venezuela for the premiere, that is. The Venezuelan government was so completely outraged at this episode that they called for a ban on the entire series, claiming that it promoted the use of cannabis to the public. All the local stations were then threatened with financial sanctions should they decide to broadcast the episode anyway. Now that is some serious censoring. To add insult to injury, public service announcements were also made that used images of Brian and Stewie to illustrate how Americans supported the use of cannabis and other illegal substances. Really, Venezuela? I thought we were friends. Wait, are we friends? I don't know anything about politics. Number 1, the banned episode. The other banned episode. Our number 1 spot has to go to the only episode that has been completely banned from US airing indefinitely apart from the DVD release. This episode is so highly controversial that you can't even stream it on most streaming services based in America, with Netflix being the only exception. It's called Partial Terms of Endearment, and it's about Lois's failed attempts at being a surrogate mother, leading to her getting an abortion. This episode was so frowned upon that the only way they could officially air this episode to the public was by way of live performance. So on August 12th of 2009 at the Ricardo Montalban Theater in downtown Hollywood, the principal cast of Family Guy along with a 16-piece orchestra gathered to perform a live read of what is now known as the most controversial episode of Family Guy ever. Apparently, there were enough gasps in the live audience to prove that the networks made the right choice in denying the episode. It definitely really wasn't TV friendly. At least, not in this country anyway. The episode did air on June 6th of 2010 in the UK, but the States wouldn't see it until the DVD release that following September. Once again, I'm Jacob, and I'm pretty sure that these lights have given me a sunburn.
Oh, you thought we were done with the 107 facting? You were wrong. Put some respect on the name of the Pawtucket chugging patriarch of the Griffin clan, Peter Griffin. Yep, we put together 107 Peter Griffin facts that you should know.
Family Guy opens every episode with an ode to the title man. Lucky there's a Family Guy. That guy is none other than Peter Griffin. From security guard impression to Emmy-winning voiceover performance, and through endless cutaway gags, Peter is more than a bumbling chicken-fighting man-child. Hey guys, I'm Joe with ChannelFrederator, and go ahead and strap yourself into the Peter Copter, because we're going through a ride through 107 freaking sweet facts about Peter Griffin. Let's do it. Peter has said that his full name is Peter Lowenbrow Griffin, but the name on his birth certificate is actually Justin Peter Griffin. Oh, and throw a senior on the end of his name there because, well, we'll get to that. According to Dr. Hartman, Peter's astrological sign is Cancer. That means his birthday is somewhere between June 22nd and July 22nd. Peter's age has jumped around throughout the run of the show. Meet the Quagmires asserts that he was 18 in 1984, which would make him 51 now. However, in the Tan Aquatic with Steve Zissou, Lois says that he's 43, but then in Underage Peter, Mayor West says he's 42. One cutaway in Peter's Lost Youth claims that he's now 58. Even accounting for the real-life time difference between the Tan Aquatic and Peter's Lost Youth, that's only 10 years, not 15. Peter was raised by Thelma and Francis Griffin. However, Francis isn't his real father, that's Mickey McFinnigan, who Thelma had an affair with while in Ireland. Thelma eventually gave birth to Peter in Mexico. That's right, Peter is technically Mexican. His mom ventured below the border in an attempt to have Peter aborted. So as you can guess, though Peter seems like your run-of-the-mill Irish Catholic, his family history is way more diverse. It goes as far back as the Paleolithic age with Peter, and spreads just as wide, from Moses Griffin to Nate Griffin. In the episode Peter Griffin, Husband, Father, Brother, Peter is shocked to discover that he has a black relative, Nate Griffin. However, in an earlier episode, If I'm Dying, I'm Lying, we already heard about a different black Griffin named Rufus. To get in touch with his African heritage, Peter renames himself Kichwa Tembo. This is Swahili, and literally translates to head elephant. Oh, and Nate Griffin wouldn't have spoken Swahili, but remember, this is Peter we're talking about. But hold up, Francis Griffin wasn't Peter's real father, right? So that means Peter has no blood relation to anyone in the Griffin ancestry, unless Thelma's maiden name was also Griffin. Peter's expansive family history includes celebrity Kathy Griffin, who the family tries to sedate to stop her from talking so dang much. Interestingly, Peter also lists her as one of his hated celebrities. Coincidence? Possibly. The full list of Peter's most hated celebrities includes Stephen Dorff, Justin Timberlake, Dane Cook, Chris O'Donnell, Jeffrey Chaucer, Andy Samberg, Elizabeth Hasselbeck, Andrew McCarthy, Rita Coolidge, David Arquette, Carlos Mencia, Amy Winehouse, every rapper, Ethan Hawke, Dax Shepard, Toby Keith, Joe Francis, Princess Diana, Chris Martin again, Chris Martin's parents, Eve Plum, Bonnie Franklin, Kate Beckinsale, Freddie Prinze Jr., Suri Cruz, Tom Cruise's daughter, that forehead guy from The Office, Gary Marshall, Paul Tsongas, and Chris Martin's ancestors. Peter has a wrestler sister named Karen Heavy Flow Griffin, voiced by Kate McKinnon. She bullied Peter when they were kids, which is why, as an adult, he bullies his daughter Meg. The Freudian trauma runs deep with this one. He also had a vestigial twin just below his neck skin before Dr. Hartman extracted him. Peter's twin, Chip Griffin, went on to live a full life and even appeared on ABC's The Middle. One cutaway gag shows that Peter also had a broster, a half-male, half-female sibling with a paginus. In another episode, Peter has a hairless twin that he keeps locked in the shed and is rewarded eggshells and coffee grinds for good behavior. Okay, so these cutaway siblings are getting a little weird. Peter was not only abused by his sister, but also his dad. He repressed this fact until he beat himself on the head with a coconut to forget the couple's retreat in Take My Wife. Damn, isn't this supposed to be a comedy? Going into Peter's real roots, show creator Seth MacFarlane first started voicing Peter because he knew exactly how he was supposed to sound when he created him, and figured it would be less of a hassle just to do the voice himself. If you've checked out our 107 Family Guy videos, you've heard that Peter is an adaptation of Seth MacFarlane's college thesis character, Larry. Both are married to women named Lois, have sarcastic dogs, and the same thick Rhode Island accent. Peter's look, personality, and voice are all based off a campus security guard who Seth MacFarlane used to chat with, Paul Timmons. MacFarlane drew from Timmons' big, thick Rhode Island accent and way of speaking with no self-editing whatsoever. Timmons is aware that the character is based on him, idiocy and all, and he takes pride in it. Seth MacFarlane has said that Family Guy was modeled after comedy shows rather than animated shows. As a result, Peter Griffin is meant to evoke the image of Jackie Gleason rather than Fred Flintstone. Every now and then, while voicing Peter, MacFarlane will even slip into a Jackie Gleason impression. Peter is even written as an homage to Archie Bunker from All in the Family, but as a way dumber and more oblivious Archie Bunker. Even his role in the Family Guy intro sequence, singing at the piano with his wife, is a parody of All in the Family's show opening. MacFarlane's Peter voice has gotten higher as the show has gone on. He isn't sure why this tends to happen to character actors, but it seems to be true for Lois and Chris as well. One of Seth MacFarlane's favorite Family Guy moments is a Peter cutaway gag. Lois accuses Peter of wasting food, and the episode cuts to a scene showing Peter trying to feed Magnum PI through the TV screen. MacFarlane has said that this moment epitomizes the character and the show as a whole, depicting Peter's lack of common sense and Family Guy's pop culture savvy. So what made him that way? Let's check out his childhood. Peter attended Martin Mull Elementary School, named after Rhode Island-originated actor Martin Mull. One of the teachers there was Mrs. Wilson, who the kids called Mrs. Killson because she got an abortion. In the episode Tales of a Third Grade Nothing, Peter has to go back and finish third grade to qualify for a promotion. However, other episodes show Peter in high school and imply that he went to college. Who knew Family Guy wouldn't have a consistent timeline? In I Dream of Jesus, Peter briefly mentions attending North Providence High School, which is actually a real school in North Providence, Rhode Island. As a teenager, Peter was into all of the typical teenage boy stuff: superheroes, metal music, and trucks. He also had an affinity for ninja movies, with posters and paraphernalia plastered all over the walls of his room. His favorite song growing up was Surfin' Bird, and he also was a fan of who else but Conway Twitty. Let's cut to clip. In 1965, Peter won a contest for being covered in the most ticks. It was a simpler time, with simpler contests. Peter not only had tics as a kid, but the nervous kind of tics too. A nervous spasm prevented him from asking his high school crush, Phoebe Diamond, to dance with him. Too bad there wasn't an award for that. When Peter gets upset, he stutters and pees his pants. That wasn't just a childhood thing though, he still does it now as an adult. Peter is an adept football player. He played the sport in high school and later had a stint as a pro, playing for the New England Patriots and the London Silly Nannies. While on the high school football team, Peter wore a custom-designed sports bra, and Karen, his abusive sister, did the service of letting all his teammates know it. According to Peter, he also lost his virginity while playing football. Like, literally while playing football. Just one well-aimed tackle is all it takes. Hey, don't blame me, folks. Blame the material. That athleticism doesn't translate to every every sport though. Peter is really bad at baseball and got completely showed up by Lois when the two of them went to baseball camp for a week in Peter's lost youth. Peter's first job was playing in a folk music trio, but not just any folk trio. It was in Simon and Garfunkel and Peter. He left the band because of, shall we say, creative differences. In high school, Peter dated a girl named Angie, who he took to the school prom. They broke up, but she stayed obsessed with him, even staying in her prom dress from that night for decades without showering. Peter has been a regular at the Drunken Clam since 1977. Wait, so since he was 13? Maybe? Alright, I'm giving up on this whole age thing. Peter first met Lois in 1984, when he was working as a towel boy in Marguerite Pewterschmidt's manor in Newport, Rhode Island. Lois credits Marguerite for helping them get together, even though she also hated Peter. Peter's orgasm cry is Shazam! We've for some reason heard him shout it on more than one occasion. Hey, you knew what you were getting into when you clicked on the video. Unfortunately for Lois, Peter is the jealous type. He even assaults his own reflection after Lois compliments him. Fortunately, Lois is also the jealous type, so that even things out, I guess. While we're on topic, there's been a lot of evidence that little Peter is, well, pretty little. He's compared sizes with Chris, discovering that he was easily dwarfed, and with Stewie, finding out that they were more similar than he'd like. His piece is also made fun of by Billy Flynn, the dolphin who was living with him for a while. Seth MacFarlane has said that he will reveal little Peter on live TV under one condition. If Donald Trump embraces science, he says, then Peter will embrace his nude body. Embrace may have been a poor choice of words here. For anyone interested, Little Peter actually made an appearance already in the uncensored DVD edition of the episode Airport 07, during the parody of Paris Hilton's wardrobe malfunction. What is this, the third penis fact in a row? Alright, let's move on. Peter didn't live at 31 Spooner Street until after he was married. His house before the wedding was at 1111 South Grove Avenue, Quahog, Rhode Island. Before marrying Lois, Peter dated a woman named Gretchen Mercer. Gretchen came back to haunt Peter in Take a Letter, as yet another psycho ex-girlfriend. Sounds like Peter didn't have much luck in terms of romance before he met Lois. Although Peter often acts childishly and selfishly towards Lois, he also tends to put her above all else when it really counts, even above money. In fact, Peter loves Lois so much that he once turned down a $1 million bribe from Lois's father, Carter Pewterschmidt, to not marry his daughter. Ironically, Peter is secretly mad that Lois didn't take a $10 million loan from her dad and fantasizes about killing her when he finds out. So, go figure. But of course, Peter's childish attitude still broke through numerous times at their wedding. Via cutaway gags, we've heard Peter's toast to Lois. What more can I say about my beautiful bride than, milk, milk, lemonade, around the corner fudge is made, and his exclamation before kissing her, kiss her, I'm gonna destroy her. True love was never sweeter. Lois and Peter's wedding song is Jimmy Crack Corn. I can't think of a more perfect song to go along with their matrimony. Peter and Lois's fathers each hated their offspring's partner, but Carter at least thought to offer money to Peter. Francis just tacked a sign reading, "To a Protestant whore," under the couple's just married sign at the wedding. In a sick and twisted like mother like son moment, Peter and Lois also tried and failed to have an abortion of Meg. They even went to a clinic before deciding against it. Heredity is weird that way. Peter is responsible for changing Meg's name from Megan to Megatron. When Lois handed him the certificate after her birthday, Peter wrote it on in Sharpie. Peter won't exactly be winning Father of the Year, especially when it comes to Meg. For the first 4 years of Meg's life, Peter thought that she was a house cat, and he has no idea how old she even is now. As for Peter's son, well, he was an accident too. Thanks to a broken condom, he and Lois not only ended up with Chris, but a lawsuit victory that paid for their house in Quahog. Everyone knows Peter's 3 kids, Meg, Chris, and Stewie, but via sperm donation, Peter also helped produce dozens and dozens of multi-ethnic kids as seen in A House Full of Peters, as well as Stewie's old rival, Bertram. Oh, and let's not forget about Peter Griffin Jr., his other son who died because Peter shook him too much. Okay, can someone please get this guy a vasectomy? Wait a minute, Peter actually did get a vasectomy in sibling rivalry. While donating his sample though, he knocked over all the other sperm bottles, and then replaced them all himself, so who knows how many half-Peters are still out there. Stewie started keeping a notebook of all of his dad's advice, which includes choice entries like, love dies and that's okay, and I've never seen a pigeon die from eating food off the ground, so what's the big whoop? Wiser words were never recorded. Throughout the course of the show, Peter has switched jobs 3 major times. He started out working at the Happy-Go-Lucky Toy Factory until his boss was killed in a freak choking accident. He then began his solo venture as a fisherman until his boat was destroyed in a hurricane. After that, he worked at Pawtucket Brewery in the shipping department, since he couldn't be trusted around free alcohol. It's always good to diversify your resume. Take it from a guy who could afford to live in a large 2-story house without any stable source of income. Cosplayers take note. In And the Wiener Is, Stewie mentions that Peter's Peter's signature green pants are actually corduroys. If you want to take your cosplay game to the next level, these are the details you need to look out for. Peter Griffin's voice is ripe for impersonation, but one cosplayer went the extra yard. Robert Franzese made a reputation by looking and sounding exactly like Peter, from the green pants down to the circular glasses. If you know Family Guy, then you know Peter's arch nemesis, Ernie the Chicken. Peter's blood feud with Ernie began in Meet the Quagmires when Peter accidentally punched Ernie during a dance. The feud came to a head in Da-Boom when Ernie handed Peter an expired grocery store coupon. There was no hope for peace after that. While Peter's drug of choice is alcohol, he has also used LSD, meth, ecstasy, marijuana, steroids, and crack cocaine. That probably explains a lot. After taking an IQ test in Petarded, Peter discovered that his intelligence is below mentally challenged. On the actual IQ scale, that means it's either 69 or below, and I'm sure Peter would find the IQ of 69 really freaking funny. As a demonstration of Peter's true genius, he took his driver's license photo while drunk, so that if he's ever caught drinking and driving, he'll look the same as his photo. Foolproof plan there, Pete. Peter's weight fluctuates in the 270 to 330 pound range. In Vestigial Peter, he claims to have weighed 293 pounds since grade school, and in Spies Reminiscent of Us, he sheds about 50 pounds of poop, dropping down from 330 pounds. Despite repeatedly displaying a no fat chicks sign, Peter may have a fat fetish. When Lois put on some weight in sibling rivalry, the two of them claimed that the sex was some of the best in their whole marriage. Peter's excessive eating habits actually resulted in a stroke, which paralyzed the entire left side of his body for months. He was fixed up at a stem cell research facility, but damn man, maybe don't eat 30 hamburgers in one sitting. There's a history of strokes in Peter's family. Not only did Peter have one, but his mother Thelma ended up dying because of one. One of Peter's kidneys is a donor organ from Dr. Hartman. Peter experienced kidney failure after drinking a homemade energy drink, and though Brian volunteered his own canine kidney, he obviously wasn't a viable option. It's still nice to know that despite his shortcomings, Peter's surrounded by good friends. Peter once faked his own death just to get out of a dentist appointment. Man, if he put half as much effort into his health as he does his cutaway exploits, maybe he wouldn't be such a train wreck. Peter's go-to drink is a Pawtucket Patriot Ale. The Pawtucket Patriot himself even appeared to Peter in a vision, inspiring him to open up a bar in his basement called Ye Old Pube. Peter has tiny, little baby sneezes. They're even funnier coming from such a big guy. Peter is the source of some of Family Guy's most iconic cutaways, including the Conway Twitty cutaways, the skinned knee gag, Surfin' Bird, and of course, the chicken fights. For someone who loves farting so much, Peter really had a late gas blossoming. He never even farted until he was 30. Must be making up for lost time now. Peter's favorite band is Kiss. He attended Kiss stock in full costume, and even watches the Kiss Save Santa Christmas special every year. He's such a big fan that he doesn't even care that Lois once slept with Gene Simmons. Though he tries to hide it, Peter loves Barry Manilow. He even went to a concert with his usual posse, after all of them admitted their adoration of him. What was there to be ashamed of? Can't Smile Without You is awesome. He's also a great musician. He's broken out a guitar on several occasions, learned to play the trombone in college, and can play piano, only while drunk. But hey, that's more than most of us can do sober. Peter's played in several bands as well. He was in a folk band with Lois, Handful of Peter, and then the two of them later joined Meg and the Griffins. He was also in Fat, Horny, Black, and Joe, as well as another acoustic folk duo with Quagmire. One of the songs in Peter's repertoire is the B-52's Rock Lobster. He's busted it out on a couple of occasions, like the time he tried to cheer Cleveland up after his wife's affair, and then later during a parody as I Rock Lobster. Peter has had approximately 113 musical numbers throughout the course of the show, which equates to nearly one every 2 to 3 episodes. This guy loves his music. His famous or infamous You Have AIDS number faced some criticism when it first aired. AIDS activists said that it diminished and insulted the illness, while Fox defended their show by saying that Family Guy diminishes and insults everything. Is that a valid argument? I don't know, but the song is catchy. Another one of Peter's musical numbers, I Need a Jew, was hit with a lawsuit. The original publisher of When You Wish Upon a Star, the Bourne Music Company, claimed that the offensive parody damaged the original value of the song. Fortunately for Family Guy, the court ruled in their favor, allowing Peter to sing another day. Seth MacFarlane did Family Guy karaoke while on the Graham Norton Show, during which he did a beautiful rendition of True Colors by Cyndi Lauper in Peter's voice. During the Season 8 special, Family Guy Presents Seth and Alex's Almost Live comedy show, MacFarlane performed some of Peter's songs, including Shapoopy, Surfin' Bird, and the theme song. MacFarlane is a huge Star Wars fan. Not only is he responsible for the retellings of the films with Family Guy characters, he also collects themed glasses and trading cards. Peter is a fan of Garfield the cat. I mean, of course he would be. Garfield is like his spirit animal. They're both lazy and love eating. Peter is seen watching Garfield in Peter's Def Jam, and in Amish Guide, he goes on a rant about how Garfield, His 9 Lives, scared him so much that he had to sleep with his mom for a week. As a television enthusiast, Peter dreams of shows that he'd want to star in. In one of them, he's a retired baseball umpire and opens up a bar at the Earth's core. In another, he discovers that he has a long, lost black son who's also a ninja. And then of course there is his Fox pilot, Handy Quacks. Peter is more than just a fan of TV. He's been on it numerous times, on different game shows. He's been a contestant on Jeopardy multiple times, Family Feud, The Price is Right, Wheel of Fortune, and a wacky Japanese game show. Peter also might be a stamp collector, or at least an expert in the art of philately. He seems to know what he's talking about when he teaches it to Chris, although he does end up blowing his brains out by the end of it. Guess philately didn't get his stamp of approval. I'll see myself out. Peter's favorite holiday is pretend not to notice people's race day. His second, of course, is Thanksgiving, because that's the one with a lot of eating. Peter has a spiritual connection with the Fonz from Happy Days. Fonzie appears to guide him through the wilderness during The Sun Also Draws, and Peter later starts a religion dedicated to him during The Father, the Son, and the Holy Fonz. Peter's shenanigans all tend to be Peter branded. There was, of course, the Hinden Peter, the Peterang, the Peterdactyl, and let's not forget about the iconic Petercopter. According to Inside Family Guy, the Petercopter was actually used by SEAL Team 6 on the mission to kill Osama bin Laden, so it wasn't useless. Peter once had a school named after him. Buddy Cianci Junior High School was temporarily renamed Peter Griffin Junior High School by Peter, then changed back by everyone else. As seen in Stewie Griffin The Untold Story, Peter will be living in Quahog Acres retirement home with Lois by 2035. At age 69, I think it is. This age thing is impossible. Quahog Acres is the same retirement home that Peter's mom lived in before she passed away. Like mother, like son, Peter has made an appearance in every single Family Guy episode to date. And not just because he's in the intro. I mean, there wouldn't be a Family Guy without the Family Guy. Peter also appeared in 2014's hit movie Birdman, albeit on a TV screen in the background. It was a scene from No Country Club for Old Men, wherein Peter is consulting his ancestors. Peter has been replaced on the show twice. Once in 15 Minutes of Shame, when he was fired off the Griffin-centric reality show and Tom Arnold was hired to take his place. The other was in Inside Family Guy, where he is written off and David Spade takes over his spot as Uncle Ricky. Family Guy as a whole has been criticized for knocking off The Simpsons, but Peter in particular has been closely compared to Homer. Critics slammed Peter for being a more basic, dumbed-down version of his Simpson counterpart, but that's debatable. I mean, Homer has done some pretty dumb stuff too. Which begs the question, which one of them is dumber, Peter or Homer? Let us know which side you're on in the comments. In a moment of mid-air, spoken word introspection, Peter muses that his greatest enemy is public shyness. Based on his endless stream of shenanigans, I'd think this is the last problem Peter would have. Much like Bart Simpson's work with Butterfingers, Peter became the poster boy for Subway in 2008. You'd think that Family Guy's less than family-friendly tone would be a deterrent for big companies, but marketing officers found a crossover between Family Guy and Subway fans. That being said, some of the commercial scripts they wrote were not allowed to air. The Peter voice has earned Seth MacFarlane plenty of outstanding character voiceover performance nominations at the Emmys. In 2016, it finally landed him the trophy. While Family Guy will always be his home, Peter has ventured out onto other animated shows. These include Bordertown and The Cleveland Show, and he's also had crossovers with The Simpsons and American Dad.
Ever since the early days of the internet, the Simpsons versus Family Guy argument has been heartily debated. Remember how insane it felt when that crossover episode finally happened? Well, put those cooperation warm and fuzzies to the side because we made a video that definitely picks a side. This is 11 ways Family Guy is better than The Simpsons from our Family Guy week back in 2016. Maybe the next video I'll make is 11 ways Family Guy week is better than Shark Week. Yeah.
The Griffins and The Simpsons are two TV families that have made us laugh for years, and who never age. While they both have a unique style and storyline, they've become the animated world's biggest rivals. Both with 2 parents and 3 kids, these two shows represent the American family in their own ludicrous way, and have characters that fans quote and love. But viewers seem to be getting into the same debate. Which show is better? Hi, I'm Adrian, and we're here to talk about the 2 most famous cartoon families, so get your couches ready, cause ChannelFrederator is counting down 11 reasons Family Guy is better than The Simpsons. Let's get started. Number 11. Edgier humor. While The Simpsons always stays within the safety lines, Family Guy isn't afraid to push the limits with their jokes. They've poked fun at stereotypes, religion, health issues, death, and even handicapped people. It's a type of humor that points out absurdities in a no apologies way. They poke fun at Peter having a stroke, Peter not allowing handicapped people in his restaurant, Peter blowing the cover of Anne Frank's Family Hiding, and Peter singing a song about Jews. So I guess the common denominator here is Peter, who is supposed to be a dumb, ignorant guy, and they usually have an underlying message through the twisted jokes. They've received a ton of heat for these jokes, especially one revolving around Michael J. Fox having Parkinson's disease. But make no mistake, people are watching and people are laughing. Though The Simpsons may have been funny in its prime, it hasn't updated its humor, only its current events. It still has the same 90s family sitcom style of safe humor that dishes lukewarm jokes to its viewers. Its more controversial episodes are about Homer's homophobia, which he gets over, of course, an episode where he fistfights George H.W. Bush, a later episode about gay marriage being legalized in Springfield, and episodes that don't paint certain countries in a positive light. Big whoop. Family Guy isn't afraid to upset some people in order to express witty jokes or storylines. They're not as over the top as South Park, but they definitely surpass The Simpsons on edgy humor. Number 10. Better comedic devices. The flashback and what if devices are used pretty often in Family Guy. While The Simpsons has used flashbacks once in a while, it's not a regular occurrence, and they usually stick to a more linear story. It also doesn't typically use the what if gag of showing a possible or existing scenario that a character just mentioned. Family Guy uses both flashbacks and what if scenarios. For example, in one episode, Peter argues with Lois saying, "Don't drag the rest of us down with you like a mentally handicapped rooster." The show then cuts to a scene of roosters crowing, one of which is mentally handicapped, and says, "Good night everybody," instead of crowing. It's the what if a rooster was really mentally handicapped scenario, and you can't help but laugh at its absurdity. These gags allow for a limitless amount of humor and more creative ways to get there. The Simpsons pretty much only follows the current story happening, which is similar to a live-action show and doesn't take as much advantage of the infinite possibilities with cartoons. Number 9. Realistic animation. The family in The Simpsons are not only a strange yellow color, but also oddly shaped. The kids all have spiky triangles as hair, and Marge has the tallest standing hair known to mankind, and it's blue. These weird shapes and colors make it more geared towards children, but Family Guy chose to make their family more realistic and human-like. This makes for a funnier show because you know these are supposed to be real human beings doing these ridiculous things versus yellow human-like creatures that are already not normal human beings from the moment you see them. The realistic-looking characters in Family Guy also differentiate it as a show for adults, instead of a more family-friendly show like The Simpsons. It's also easier to relate to human beings versus yellow-looking people, and it makes it that much more believable, and that much more funny when they get into trouble. Plus, don't get me started on Krusty and Sideshow Bob. Not exactly your traditional-looking clown and sidekick, although Carrot Top is a close Bob. Number 8. Less predictable. Granted, the longer a show like this is on, the more predictable it usually becomes since you know the characters and their gags. But Family Guy has remained pretty unpredictable after 14 seasons. You definitely know Peter is going to do something stupid, but they continue to surprise viewers with how. And even the episode where Brian dies was so shocking that fans had mock funerals for him. Main characters in The Simpsons always go back to their status quo, and nothing ever changes, including the way they get into trouble. You can even predict when Nelson's going to say, which is every time you see him. And you can see any trouble coming before it happens, because the characters are gullible enough to fall for everything. I'm sure it's tough to come up with new stories after 27 seasons, but The Simpsons has lost its magic and continues to use the same old formula, while Family Guy still has fans guessing what insanity is to come, and it doesn't always teach a lesson like The Simpsons. Snooze. Number 7. Better characters. The Simpsons may have more characters to work with, but Family Guy has better and funnier characters in general. Stewie alone is so memorable and funny that he got his own movie special. What other show has a mad genius evil baby? Quagmire is another character that always incites laughs and really awkward moments that viewers can't forget, with his pervy pedophilia and his giggity giggity catchphrase. But the whole Griffin family is much funnier than the Simpsons family in general, and though the side characters in The Simpsons are unique, many aren't three-dimensional enough to dive into for more than one episode. Cleveland, however, was good enough a character to get his own spin-off show. The Family Guy characters are also more realistic, fortunately and unfortunately. Okay, except for the talking dog. Number 6. Harder core fans. In 2013, Family Guy killed off Brian Griffin, the talking family dog. Fans were pissed. They took to social media to express their outrage and used the hashtag #BringBackBrian to demand Seth MacFarlane resurrect the character. A petition started to bring Brian back and got thousands of signatures, mock funerals were held, and one diehard fan went as far as to get a Rest in Peace Brian tattoo. Fortunately, Brian was brought back to life a few weeks later, but unfortunately, tattoos are permanent. Though The Simpsons' heyday was in the pre-social media era, fans did not seem to be upset when Mr. Burns seemingly died, with the death of Maude Flanders, or with the death of the family cat Snowball. Maybe they weren't as funny as Brian, or maybe fans weren't as attached to the characters' fates, but we doubt there were ever moments of silence held for anyone on The Simpsons. Family Guy fans may be a little much, but they're 120% invested and dedicated to their beloved Griffin family and friends. Now that's loyalty. Number 5. The show itself was resurrected. Family Guy has impressively been brought back from cancellation twice. The Simpsons may have never been cancelled in the first place, but that doesn't mean it's because it's still good. Maybe in the 90s, fans would have been upset if The Simpsons was cancelled, but nowadays people are ambivalent, and would think it was about time since it's run its course. Most of their fans don't even watch every episode anymore, but with Family Guy, the fans are what actually brought the show back and keep it going. When the show got cancelled, they bought tons of Family Guy DVDs, about 2.8 million, and watched the reruns on Cartoon Network, making Fox executives rethink their decision. Though they had a smaller number of viewers than desired, the number was full of the young 18 to 49 demographic and full of hardcore fans. Fox decided to give the show another run, and luckily the show grew and grew and is still going strong. Number 4. The Blue Harvest episode. This was such an epic episode. It almost wins extra bonus points for both humor and the nerding out element. The Simpsons has made several Star Wars references, but it's never had an entire episode spoofing the famous franchise. Family Guy went one step ahead and made it an hour-long episode, almost like a mini-film. The episode has Peter retelling the Star Wars story because the electricity in the house has gone out. In this hilarious recount, Chris is Luke Skywalker, oddly enough, Lois is Princess Leia, Peter is Han Solo, Brian is Chewbacca, Quagmire is C-3PO, Cleveland is R2-D2, and Stewie is Darth Vader, of course. It aired in 2007 to 10.8 million viewers and is still a fan favorite. Number 3. Better catchphrases and gags. Obviously, The Simpsons has tons of catchphrases. Homer's dope, Bart's eat my shorts, and ay caramba, Apu's thank you come again, and even Mr. Burns is excellent. But these have been used almost too much and are no longer funny when you hear them. Family Guy still has hilarious catchphrases like shut up Meg. They also have Quagmire's giggity giggity, and let's not forget Stewie's what the deuce or Cleveland's oh that's nasty. These lines are funny but yet not overused. Family Guy also has better gags like the feud between Peter and the chicken and the time Peter hurt his knee and whined in pain for about 30 seconds. The Simpsons couch gag was cool in the beginning, but because they do it every single episode, it's not that funny anymore. Family Guy knows how to give you just a little and save it for another time. They rarely overplay things, which keeps the humor alive. Number 2. Emmy nomination. In 2009, Family Guy became the second ever animated show to be nominated in the Outstanding Comedy Series category at the Emmys, the first being The Flintstones. Though they didn't win, it was a huge surprise to everyone that they were even included, because in all of its 27 seasons, The Simpsons has never been nominated in that category. Clearly, the universe was saying that Family Guy is better than The Simpsons. Number 1. Stewie is funnier than Maggie. While Maggie is sweet and adorable, and has a funny rivalry with the Unibrow baby, she is nowhere near as hilarious as Stewie. First of all, Stewie talks. Maggie does not. That allows for much more opportunity to say and do funny things. Stewie is also very unique because he's evil and he's a mad genius. How many babies are evil mad geniuses? It may not be realistic, but neither is a talking dog, and they're both hysterical. Maggie can only have a few cute scenes here and there, while Stewie is one of the main characters, has his own film, and is a fan favorite. Some could even say Stewie makes the show. So sorry Mags, but Stewie wins the cake on this one, and so does Family Guy in general.
You might have noticed a few familiar pop culture faces throughout our many facts in this video, and that is no coincidence. Family Guy loves to shout out all sorts of movies, TV shows, music, and more. The writers wear their inspiration on their sleeve, and fans love a good in-joke too. What's your favorite Family Guy reference? Let us know in the comments as we run through Family Guy references to movies, music, cartoons, and more.
It's not much of a stretch to say that Family Guy packs in more pop culture references per episode than any show in history. In fact, their references come so fast and furious that even Vin Diesel wouldn't be able to keep up with all of them with a tank full of nos. Hi, I'm Joe from ChannelFrederator, and we're here to break down some Family Guy references you may have missed. Reference to self. Family Guy is chock full of self-referential meta-jokes, proving Seth MacFarlane never met a joke he didn't like. Get it? Meta? Sorry, not sorry. Family Guy's hour-long episode Blue Harvest launched a trilogy that parodies the 3 original Star Wars films. During the cantina scene, there are ever so fleeting glimpses of some familiar faces sprinkled among the intergalactic patrons. For instance, the evil monkey who lives in Chris's closet, Roger from American Dad, Bender from Futurama, and Coach John McGurk from Home Movies. In the episode Brian Does Hollywood, Brian moves to LA and ends up directing adult films, because of course he does. At the porn version of the Oscars, we see the nominees for the Best Original Score in an Adult Film category: Ron Jones, Walter Murphy, and John Williams. Mr. Williams is one of the most celebrated film composers of all time, so it's obvious why he would be included in the joke, but the references to Jones and Murphy only play as punchlines when you realize they both compose music for Family Guy. It's the kind of inside joke that mainly works inside the company break room. Another example of the show making fun of its own staff is Meg's nerdy red-haired pimple-faced admirer, Neil Goldman, who was named after one of the writers. And the character Joyce Chivapravadumrong from the episode And I'm Joyce Kinney is a reference to Cherry Chivapravadumrong, who is the show's co-executive producer. We'll give you bonus points if you can spell the name Chivapravadumrong without looking it up. But that's not all. Peter becomes upset in If I'm Dying, I'm Lying when his favorite TV show, Gumble to Gumble, Beach Justice, is cancelled. This show within a show features real-life broadcasting brothers Bryant Gumbel and Greg Gumbel as bike cops patrolling the beach. In the case of Art Imitating Life, Seth MacFarlane actually pitched a Gumble to Gumble show to Fox, which they rejected before eventually greenlighting his Family Guy pitch. Family Guy had a rocky start before it found its footing and became a mega hit, getting cancelled not once, but twice by Fox. Early on, this led to many fans being confused about whether the show was still in production or if it only existed in reruns. Savvy DVR pausers caught Family Guy making fun of its own uncertainty in the episode The Story on Page 1. When Peter looks at a copy of TV Guide with Luke Perry on the cover, there's a direct message to viewers in the bottom corner. If you can read this, Family Guy is on the air. Quips and quills. Family Guy doesn't only make references to TV and movies. Sometimes the writers like to show off that they're also readers. In the episode Space Cadet, Chris struggles while presenting a class assignment and whines to the teacher that he's not Nathaniel Hawthorne. We then cut to Nathaniel Hawthorne sitting at his desk with a quill pen, laughing that he's about to ruin 9th grade for everyone. This refers to the fact that Hawthorne's ponderous 19th century novel, The Scarlet Letter, is often used to torture freshman English classes. I mean, often read in freshman English classes. A more contemporary author that Family Guy is obsessed with is modern master of horror Stephen King. An obvious reference is the episode 3 Kings, where Peter realizes he needs to read more books, so he chooses 3 novels by Stephen King, who he calls
the greatest author of the last 1,000 years.
The episode then launches into parodies of Stand By Me, Misery, and Shawshank Redemption. However, there are subtler Stephen King references throughout the series, such as in the episode Love Thy Trophy, when Stewie spells the word red rum while playing with his building blocks. King fans will recognize this as the backwards spelling of the word murder, which is used by Danny Torrance, the psychic kid in The Shining. And in the episode A Picture is Worth $1,000, there's a creepy stuffed clown that resembles the evil child-eating Pennywise the Clown from the novel It. No word yet on whether the new movie version of It will return the favor and give a shout out to Family Guy. In the episode Brian in Love, Brian is driving down a country road when he accidentally runs over a man. At first, Brian is worried he's hit Stephen King, but when he actually realizes he hit Dean Koontz, he runs over the man a second time. This is not actually a reference to something Stephen King wrote, but rather to the real-life horror that happened to King's life when he was hit by a van in 1999 and nearly killed. To add insult to injury, the gag also refers to the fact that the best-selling thriller writer Dean Koontz is seen by many as a Stephen King knockoff. One especially hard-to-catch novel reference involves The Catcher in the Rye. In the episode The Kiss Scene Around the World, a man is obsessed with pointing out anyone he thinks is a phony, such as Peter, who he sees pretending to play a keyboard. This character wasn't given a name, but fans started calling him Holden Caulfield, referring to the main character in J.D. Salinger's classic novel. He appeared again to utter his catcher catchphrase in the Empire Strikes Back parody, something 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 dark side, before being killed by Darth Vader, aka Stewie Griffin. The Fact Up special feature of Something 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 Dark Side DVD acknowledges the fan's name for him, thereby making the Holden Caulfield classification official cartoon canon. Why so serious? The late Adam West, who played fan favorite Mayor Adam West, is not the only former Batman actor to have a version of himself depicted on Family Guy. Although, in the case of Christian Bale, his appearance was less voluntary. In the episode Ocean's 3.5, Peter is working on a movie set when he has a run-in with Bale that leads to an epic angry meltdown. The show used cleverly edited audio from Bale's real-life epic angry meltdown that took place on the set of Terminator Salvation, which occurred when director of photography Shane Hurlbert accidentally distracted Bale by adjusting lights while cameras were rolling. As the Family Guy argument escalates, Peter fires back,
"Did you punch your mother with that mouth?"
which refers to a 2008 incident when Bale was accused of assaulting his mother. This reference is even harder to catch if you missed it the first time, because the clip has been dropped from all Family Guy rebroadcasts, maybe because Seth MacFarlane is worried about being confronted by Bale's attorneys, or by the temperamental Dark Knight himself. The scene can still be found though, thanks to Netflix. Cracks on the bedrock. Family Guy contains numerous references to another long-running classic cartoon about a tubby doofus with a hot, thin wife. No, not The Simpsons, it's the Flintstones. Though most of these prehistoric gags are obvious because they feature some combination of Fred, Barney, or Wilma, there's one quick reference that may have slipped past you. In the episode Wasted Talent, Peter discovers that he's a really talented piano player, but only when he's really intoxicated. Most of the humor in the episode is a riff on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but there's also a seemingly random appearance by a small green floating alien who pops up over Peter's shoulder to call him a dum-dum. This is actually the Great Gazoo, otherwise known as the least popular character in the Flintstones series. The Great Gazoo was an awkward alien who had magical powers that he used to get Fred and Barney caught up in wacky predicaments. He's such an annoying character that people considered him to be on the same level as Scrappy-Doo and Jar Jar Binks. Yikes. So then why did Family Guy reconjure this type of pesky character? Probably for their classic non sequitur style of humor, and also for some massive cringe factor. Death on a Plane. The episode Death is a Bitch contains a movie reference that was definitely lost on any viewers born post-Nixon's term. When Death sprains his ankle while chasing Peter, Peter is forced to take over his job. This is a plot device stolen from Tim Allen's 1994 holiday classic, The Santa Claus, but that's not the movie reference we're talking about. After Peter accidentally kills 2 airplane pilots, actress Karen Black has to save the day by landing the plane, just like her character did in the disaster film Airport 1975, which came out in a year. Any guesses? Wrong. It was 1974. Anyway, when Quahog 5 news anchor Tom Tucker reports the story of the miraculous save, he calls what happened an obscure reference, while referencing Black's other 70s films, 5 Easy Pieces and Nashville. 100 minus 1 red balloons. The only thing more fun than a one-hit wonder 80s German pop song is a mathematical reference to a one-hit wonder 80s German pop song. The Family Guy time-traveling episode Road to Germany takes place in Nazi Germany, as all great comedies do, when a Nazi scientist is proudly showing off his collection of 100 Luftballons to Hitler, played by Stewie naturally. One of them pops.
Oh, damn.
Leaving him heartbroken. I know you weren't expecting to do any math during this video, so we'll help you out. 100 minus 1 equals 99 Luftballons remaining, which leaves us with a reference to the 1983 hit 99 Luftballons by German singer Nina. By the way, Luftballons means red balloons in English. There, now you've learned some German, along with some math. 42 points for wordplay. Speaking of education, Family Guy found a clever way to reference the landmark Supreme Court decision that desegregated our nation's public school systems in 1954. When Brian goes back to college in the appropriately named episode, Brian Goes Back to College, there's a scene that takes place at a Brown University football game. If you look up at the scoreboard, you'll notice their opponent is the Board of Education, which means the scoreboard reads Brown versus the Board of Education. Brown is winning the game 42-0, which is funny, although it would have been funnier and more historically accurate if the score was 9-0, because there were 9 Supreme Court justices who voted against the Board of Education, not 42. Details aside, it was a pretty decent joke about civil rights litigation.
And for our final throwback of the day, the football-headed offspring and his hilarious hijinks. Stewie has changed a lot throughout the years, from a maniacal matricidal megalomaniac to a lovable little lad. We can always look back on his insane machinations and wonder though. This is the 9 best Stewie schemes from Family Guy.
Stewie Griffin came into this world alongside a map of strategic places to bomb in Europe. I think it's safe to say he's an evil baby. Not always, mind you, he has good moments as well. He enjoys good music and has tender moments with every member of the family, even Lois. That said, I think everyone agrees that heartfelt moments don't cancel out violence, extortion, and flat-out murder. And even if they did, there's more moments of evil than nice ones, by a wide margin. But Stewie's evil machinations don't happen all willy-nilly. He plans and calculates. The episode where he kills Lois was a computer simulation to see if he could succeed at the plan. That's admittedly not satisfying from a narrative perspective, but it shows us the lengths Stewie goes to in order to make sure his plans work. So let's celebrate some of these dastardly plots and plans. My name is Tim, and today on ChannelFrederator we're counting down the top 9 Stewie schemes from Family Guy. Let's get started. Number 9, killing Bertram. Bertram is like the younger brother Stewie never had. Not exactly, but they do share similar genes. Stewie first tries to kill an unborn Bertram to prevent his birth. Stewie likes his status as the youngest and doesn't want to share. Through this encounter, they learn to respect each other. They're both evil, domineering children. In a way, Bertram's evil enough that Stewie not killing him is almost evil somehow. He wants to give Bertram a chance at life so that Bertram can also be evil. Bertram does make it into the living world via odd circumstances and crosses paths with Stewie at a playground. Side note, I really liked the fight scene in this episode. Sometimes Family Guy's manic references lead to well-choreographed action scenes, and I'm a sucker for fencing-style fighting. In a later episode, Bertram tries to get his revenge for Stewie's meddling by killing Stewie's ancestors, which turns out could doom the universe. Stewie has to kill Bertram to prevent this, or does he? He revels in this act an awful lot. Still, the evilness of the scheme is hampered by the universe-saving element. Number 8, being nice for plutonium. A person can do the right things for the wrong reasons. In Stewie's case, he does several right things for the ability to manufacture weapons of mass destruction. Lois takes Stewie to meet Santa at the mall. Santa asks what Stewie wants for Christmas. Stewie requests plutonium and is told he'll get it if he can be a good boy. The challenge is on. Stewie spends the rest of the episode trying to be nice and living in fear of Santa's surveillance. Silly Stewie. Santa doesn't install hidden cameras in the tree ornaments. That's what the elf on the shelf is for. The plan works. Stewie gets plutonium for Christmas in a cardboard box that doesn't have radiation protection of any kind. I mean, I'm willing to give Christmas magic the benefit of the doubt to an extent, but Stewie marvels in the glow of a radioactive substance way too long for someone that smart. Still, there's few things more sinister than being a perfect little boy so you can be the perfect evil one later. Number 7, creating a pyramid scheme company. The funny thing about beating somebody up for money is, it doesn't cause your victim to assault others for money. A pyramid scheme, on the other hand, takes advantage of suckers and tricks them into finding more suckers to siphon money from. The courts didn't send Bernie Madoff to jail for 2 human lifetimes for cheating people out of money. They sent him because he cheated people in a way that creates an exponentially growing problem. So when Stewie creates his own scheme, it's evil with a capital E. It has to be. It's not special or outlandish, but these ventures can put people out of house and home in massive quantities. Stewie's plans tend more towards world domination, but unchecked greed can cause just as much damage. Number 6, taking a loan shark attitude to bets. Stewie makes a bet with Brian for $50 and win. Brian doesn't have the money on him at the time, and Stewie's kind enough to wait for it. For a time. Bets are a sacred trust between 2 people. Brian should not make a bet he can't pay up right away. Also, don't go betting against Carol Channing in a boxing match. She just keeps coming back. When getting the money takes longer than expected, Stewie employs loan shark levels of violence to get his $50. He actually goes further. I don't think loan sharks make use of flamethrowers. These scenes are hard to watch. Between bullets, flamethrower fuel, and a golf club, Stewie spends way more than $50 anyway. If he wanted the money back, he would have stopped sooner. Number 5, creating a weather machine to eliminate broccoli. Even as a full-grown adult that eats and enjoys veggies, broccoli ranks low on the vegetable tier list. You want a good vegetable? Go for carrots. If you don't see that carrots are the best, you have bad eyes, and for that, I recommend a steady diet of carrots. Sorry, sidetracked a bit. The point is, nobody can blame Stewie for his broccoli hate. You can blame him for trying to control the weather and doom the Earth by shattering ecosystems across the globe in the process. Understandable, but evil and selfish. Not that I should cast stones. I would eradicate every spider on Earth with no regard for ecological damage if I had the chance. Number 4, saving Lois to kill Lois. Stewie hates Lois. He hates her so much he attempts several murders and creates a computer simulation to test how succeeding at murder would work out. out. Side note, one of his real murders would have worked if death hadn't been injured at the time, meaning nobody could die. In later years of the show, Stewie's objects of torture branch out more. After all, his computer simulation showed him that murdering Lois would harm him as well, so he doesn't. But that hatred never quite leaves him. In the episode, And Then There Were Fewer, Diane murders a number of Quahog residents in a revenge plot gone awry. Lois stumbles across the truth and Diane tries to silence her. Fortunately for Lois, before Diane can get a shot off, she's taken out with a shot to the chest. Who's her mysterious savior? Stewie, with a sniper rifle. He doesn't save her out of love or some familial obligation. He saves her because if anyone gets to take her out, it's going to be him. He decided to hold off his revenge plot, but in a way this feels like a cat playing with a mouse before pouncing. Stewie doesn't stop a murder, he stakes his own claim on the target. Number 3, freezing the nicest security guard ever. Few things scare Stewie, but when he turns 1 in Chitty Chitty Death Bang, he fears the man in white, aka a doctor, will try to undo his birth. He runs away from home only to have a security guard stop him from fleeing by plane. The security guard doesn't know the stakes, but encourages Stewie to face the man in white head on. Peter and Lois don't make the best parenting duo, so this might be the closest thing to a fatherly bonding moment Stewie gets. How does he repay this wise old sage? Simple. Freeze him in carbonite. After all, he's a witness, and he did impede Stewie. Stewie can't have him get in the way once again, so he takes the villain option. It's mercy by his standards, but it's also mercy on the path to murder a doctor. He misunderstands the doctor's purpose, sure, but still evil. By the way, he succeeds in the murder, sort of. A cultist comes into their house with intent to kill. Stewie assumes he's the man in white and murders him after some psychological torture. The cultist doesn't have the moral high ground here, but murder with a heavy helping of collateral damage is still evil. Number 2, killing New Brian. When people try to express how evil someone is, they often fall back on an old standby. So-and-so kills puppies. Stewie torments Brian on a regular basis, even if they go on wonderful adventures together. But it's not the meanest he's ever been to a dog. As Brian gets older, Peter gets another dog, named New Brian. At first, Stewie loves this. Brian suffers the existential dread of mortality and humiliation of obsolescence at the same time. He leaves the house, but the celebration doesn't last long for Stewie. New Brian loves everything. Everything, to the point that Stewie can't find a way to torment him. Not even saying Cool Whip and emphasizing the H could get him to snap. So what's a young baby to do? First, he tries to get the old Brian back, but Brian won't return until New Brian leaves. So Stewie tells New Brian everyone hates him and he should just leave. New Brian likes his home and refuses, and mentions a few things that finally set Stewie off. So Stewie kills him, chops him to pieces, and throws him in the garbage, staging all of that somehow as a suicide. All of that so he can get his old dog back to torment him. And number 1, creating a real evil twin. Stewie likes his evil schemes, so much so we find it hard to imagine a baby more evil. But Stewie could, and he sets out to morph himself into his evil vision. It doesn't work exactly as he hopes, creating an evil clone of Stewie rather than modifying the original. When other evil plans involve things like murder and mind control, how can creating life rank the highest? Because the scheme proves that Stewie wants to do worse things. Things so evil his mind can't comprehend them. I don't know what that looks like. Stewie doesn't know what that looks like either, but he wants to know. He tries to cross that threshold. Trying to eliminate broccoli by destroying weather patterns is selfish, but understandable. Ruling the world seems pretty rad, so it's evil, but understandable. Pursuing evil for its own sake, though, that is the single most evil thing I can think of.
Holy crap, that's a lot of facts. Kinda reminds me of the time that I went to space, but still managed to finish the video I was working on. What did you think of our blast of the past? Do you remember these videos as they were uploaded? What's your favorite Family Guy fact? Make sure you let us know down in the comments and subscribe to ChannelFrederator for more like this. Thanks for watching, and remember, Frederator loves you.